Hello and good morning, everybody. Gong Xi Fa Chai. I know it's not Chinese New Year yet, but we are approaching Chinese New Year very soon. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining very early in the morning. I see some of you have been here for the past half an hour. Some of you have been here for 15 minutes. Wherever you are, welcome, everybody, and I hope that you all are all in good health and are staying safe at the moment. Now, before we start, I just want to know whether if you can hear me. Can you just click the raise hand button? All right, or you can leave some comment there and say yes, so that I know that you are able to hear us. All right, thank you, Chin Liang. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, everybody. And looks like we're all set to go. Now, once again, welcome to today's webinar by AmInvest. It's called AmFocus Market Outlook 2022. I'm sure you're all excited to know what's in store for 2022. And basically today's theme is the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. No, guys, you're not watching a movie. It's not a part 2 of Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon, but we do have experts in the industry who are basically the actors today, right? We have Chow Yun Fat, we have Michelle Yeoh, but of course they are not here. We have basically Dr. Anthony Dass, we have Alan Lim, and we have Master Jesse Lee, who will be sharing with us what's in store this morning. Now, for those who are here this morning, we want to reward you with our first ang pao, since you have been very early with us. Okay, now all you need to do is to answer a very simple question, and the first person to answer the question will win a 10 ringgit touch and go top up. All right, 10 ringgit. There will be 2 prizes, so don't worry if you miss the first one. Okay, so the question is this: what is today's theme for the webinar? Okay, you can answer that now. Our colleague will contact you immediately once you get the answer. So yeah, I see the answer coming. Thank you very much. We have Andrew. Okay. Yeah, today's session is Market Outlook, Mr. Koo, but the theme is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. All right, thank you very much for your answers, everybody. Okay, now before I go on to the next question, just want to get a gauge of where you guys are. Can you type in where you are located, city that you're located? Can you just type in? So we have Penang, okay, mostly from Penang, KL, okay, Ipoh, Selangor, PJ, KL, Malaysia. Type in the city lah, then we know where you are. Anyone from overseas? Setia Alam, KL, Penang. Do we have anyone from East Malaysia? Kuching, yes. Bukit Mertajam, Kepong. Okay, we have Seremban. Okay, still mostly from Penang, PJ. Perlis, all the way up north, Helmi. Wow. Vincent from Kota Kinabalu. We have another one up north in Kota Baru. PJ, Penang, Setapak. All right. Looks like you guys are all over Malaysia, and that's the beauty of having things online, right? You don't need to come down to KL. If you do an event in KL or Penang, at least you all have an opportunity to join us in this event. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for your input. Now, second question. We have a few guests today, right? I mean, we have also mentioned to you Dr. Anthony Das, we have Alan Lim, and we have Dr. Jesse Lee. We also have an opening address in a short while by Mr. Gan Kim Boon, who will be with us in a short while. And he's the head of retail for AmInvest. Okay, my name is Benny Lee. I'm your host for today, so I'll be basically hosting the whole session, and I will be doing a short presentation on what we actually have in store with you guys together with AmInvest. basically from Equities Tracker. So we are in a collaboration to do this special event for you guys in a short while. All right. Okay, now second question for today lah. Okay, today we have a total of quite a number of giveaways. RM 10 ringgit top up for touch and go. So please do stay with us. We'll continue to give you from time to time. Okay, so now second question is this: what's the name of the only lady speaker for today? Okay, Rebecca says Jessie. Okay, we're gonna accept Jessie lah. All right. It's Jessie Lee, not Lim, Brandon. Okay, thank you so much, Brandon. Let me see who's the winner. Okay, we're gonna accept Jessie. So Rebecca, can we take note of that? Thank you so much. Good morning, Asus. Good morning. Yes, once again, thank you for all those who are still continue to join us today. Welcome. All right. Now, one thing I want to do before I want to invite Mr. Gunn to come in to give an opening address. All right. We have been in quite a tough market in 2021, and of course, for the past 2 years, it has been a little bit difficult for quite a number of us, and also inconvenient for a number of us because of a movement control order. Now that we are all back to normal, mostly, especially in KL, right? The traffic is back, activities are back to normal, but of course, we are still following the SOPs, right? Now, I just want to have again, an indicator from you guys, because we have quite a number of you in this session today. For those who are investing, especially. All right. What do you think will the market be this year, 2022? Okay, 2021 was a tough year. Of course, if it's very selective, if you get the right stocks to invest in, you are still there's still good money. But 2022 generally, do you think this is going to be a bullish tiger year? All right. So you can put a good or a bad, or you want to put bulls or bears. Can you just type it in so that we can just see a gauge of what you guys are thinking? All right. Andrew is good. Oh, bad. Okay, bear, more bear. Okay, so the bears are winning. Okay, the bears are still winning. Helmi says so. Hope is good. Hope is good. Bull, bear, bull again. Generally, this year, 2022. What would you expect? Okay, we use the KLCI as a benchmark, whether it's going to close positive or whether it's going to close negative. Okay, good. Bear, bull. Okay, better than last 2021. Okay, keep on typing, guys. Useless, sideways, positive. Okay, we got quite a mixed view, and that's the beauty of stock market, right? Everybody has an opinion towards the market, whether they are bullish or bearish. Not promising. Okay. Anyone else? Can you just type it in? Wow, I see. Donkey year. That's something new. Bad, super bull. Tiger should overcome bull, like bear. So will be very volatile. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll wait the end of January for KLCI to confirm. Wow. And that's why we are having this webinar today, right? We're going to take a look at Market Outlook 2022. So we have basically experts in the industry. They have been here they've been in the industry for a very long time, so they should give quite good advice. And of course, we also have metaphysics master Jessie Lee, who will be sharing with us the mystical, right? The mystical world on what she'll think 2022 will be. All right. Now, without further ado, we're going to start this session with the head of retail of AmInvest. We have Mr. Gun Kim Boon, and I understand he's actually on the move right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Gun. So I'm going to pass this to you, Mr. Gan, to give an opening address to those who are attending today.
Hi, good afternoon. Hello. Hi, can everyone hear me? Hello. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, Dan. Yes, Dan, I can hear you. Anthony here.
All right, a very good morning to all of you. And thank you so much for joining us this morning for our AmFocus Market Outlook 2022. And as Mr. Benny Lee rightly pointed out, I'm actually calling in from a car, as you can see from my background picture. You know, I hope you all don't mind that I'm calling all of you here from a car. It's only the third Saturday of the year, but I'm already on the move, so to speak. You know, so anyway, I just wanted to wish all of you a very happy new year. Just to make sure you're all still able to watch me on a video, right? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Hi, I can see you. Alan here.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So once again, a very happy new year to all of you. Now, basically, every year at this time of the year, in the first 2 weeks or so of January, we find ourselves, if I am correct, you know, or at least I do that, I always find myself at this time of the year asking myself the question, what will the new year be like? And just as what Mr. Benny Lee has already asked all of you just now, whether you all think the stock market this year will be better or not so good or worse, I think the majority of the answer that I heard just now seemed to be like most of you are not so bullish about the stock market. You know, some things that it will actually be worse, something it will be just the same, you know, that meaning the market is not going to go anywhere. You know, so, well, I mean, I wouldn't know what it is going to be like. That is why I have my two experts here this morning to tell you what it's going to be like for this year. So, but having said that, you know, I think for me, especially, my expectations for this year normally will be influenced by what happened in 2021, you know. So 2021 actually started off very, very well, right? I think because we carried over from 2020, which was a very good year. So 2021, everybody started the year being very gung-ho, being very bullish, thinking that it's going to be a super year again, you know, like 2020. But unfortunately, it didn't last very long. You know, after a while, the market started to die off and the volumes also started to thin up, you know, or dry up, you know. So that was unfortunately the picture for last year, 2021. So, but I think as many of you would know, this year, in terms of the Chinese New Year, is the year of the tiger, right? And the tiger, the animal or the zodiac sign of tiger usually symbolizes strength, power, agility. You know, these are the characteristics of a tiger. So hopefully the tiger's inherent nature or characteristics of the tiger will be translated or will be felt in our local stock market for this year. Or will it? I don't know. You know, that's why we have two experts this morning to tell us about what they think about the stock market. So this morning we have, I think I don't need to do any introduction because I think the introductions will be done by Benny later. But we do have our group chief economists as well as our head of equity research to share with us their thoughts as well as their views, not just only on the economy, but also on the stock market. And I think in terms of the stock market, maybe not also just on the Malaysian stock market, but also a little bit on the global markets as well. This session, of course, will be moderated by Benny Lee of Equities Tracker, but he himself will also have a session later after our two panelists, you know, where he will also be touching a little bit about the markets as well as on some other matters that we have lined up for you. Now, and also, Benny has already mentioned this earlier as well. We do have a special guest who will provide you with further insights into what is in store for 2022, albeit from a different perspective. You know, so this special or guest speaker of ours, Master Jessie Lee, she is not going to talk about fundamentals like GDP data or economic data, inflation rate, interest rate, or whatnot, you know, but the perspective will be very different. And I think it's going to be very interesting also for us to listen to what she has to tell us about what is in store for 2022. Now, as you all know, our webinar this morning is called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Well, I actually like that movie. I think many of you may probably have seen the movie. But what interested me was that this title seems to suggest to me that the tiger is ready to pounce, because it's crouching, right? Crouching as in it is ready to pounce. But what about a hidden dragon? What does it mean actually? And will, because the dragon is hidden, so will it be revealed later? So does it mean we're going to have a robust year for the stock market this year? And when will this dragon that is hidden emerge? Of course, if you follow the Chinese Zodiac sign, the dragon is only supposed to come 2 years later, not this year, because after tiger is rabbit and then the dragon, right? Anyway, I think that is why we have our two panelists plus Benny and Master Jesse to speak to us about what is in store for 2022, what we should do with the money that we have, where do we put our money, and also if we do have to invest in stocks, which stocks or which sectors we should put our money into, So without much further ado, I would like to hand this session back to the moderator, Mr. Lee. But I would encourage all of you to take an active part in this morning's webinar. Ask all the questions that you want. There's no such thing as a silly answer or question, whatever questions that you have in your mind, please feel free to throw it at the moderator, at the panelists, and as well as Master Jesse, So on that note, I would like to thank all of you again for coming this Saturday morning or joining us for this webinar. So happy investing, and may we all ride on the tiger as we face the headwinds that will be coming this way our year. Thank you so much again, and have a good day, have a good morning, enjoy yourself. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gunn. Have a safe journey, Mr. Gunn.
Thank you so much.
All right, welcome back, everybody, and thank you everyone for who have just joined us. Thank you very much for joining the session. Today we have AmFocus Market Outlook for 2022, organized by AmInvest, and the theme for today is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And we have basically two experts in the financial industry who will be sharing their insights for us. I know we have been looking at some of the answers earlier. There are people who are bulls, who are bearish about the market, but why not we hear it from the experts themselves, right? So we're going to have them up in a short while. And of course, later we'll have Master Jesse Lee, who will also be sharing with us another aspect of the environment, the markets for year 2022. Now, before we start, we're going to give out another 2 more ang paos. Okay, so Mr. Gunn is going to give out another 2 more ang paos for you guys. So all you need to do is to answer the question correctly, and the first one who answer is going to win that 10 ringgit touch and go top up. All right. So our colleague will get in touch with you personally on a message if you have won the touch and go top up. All right. Okay. Next question. Everyone ready? What is the Chinese Zodiac year sign for 2022? Of course, after Chinese New Year. Oh, very fast. Well, this time you guys are very, very fast. Okay. I see the first answer is from PK Ui. Congratulations. Okay, congratulations, guys. Okay, don't worry. We still got one more from Mr. Gunn. If you can type in Mr. Gunn's full name, that will be the next winner. Not Gun Kim Boon, Adeline, is Gun Kim Kun. And the winner is, let me see, Selena. Congratulations, Selena. And thank you very much for everyone for participating. Don't worry, we still have a few more prizes to give out. Okay. But what we want to do is we're going to start the session right now, but there are a few house rules that we want to basically share with you guys before we participate. Now, what you guys have done is basically keying in the chat session, all right, on your platform, on the Zoom platform. But if you want to ask questions to the panelists or to the invited speakers and guests, okay, you need to type it in the Q&A panel, all right? we only use the Q&A panel to basically ask questions that you want to be answered by the panelists. So we use the Q&A button at the bottom. For anything else, we can do on the chat, right? But for for question and answers, please key in on the Q&A box. All right. So now let's start with the first session for today. We're going to have a panel of discussion with Dr. Anthony Dass and Alan Lim. Let me just briefly introduce Dr. Anthony to you. Dr. Anthony is a group chief economist and the head of AmBank Research. All right. He has been with AmBank Group since 2013, and he started out as an economist in Bank Negara, Malaysia. Okay, so he has worked with various stockbroking firms, and he is also involved in many other ministries and government agencies. So he has an experience of about 30 years in the industry. All right, and he's also seconded to the EAC, which is part of the Economic Planning Unit. Okay. And the educational background, he got his doctor. So he has a PhD in economics, all right, from UUM, as a Master of Science in Economics and Finance from the University of Bristol in United Kingdom. And he also has a Bachelor of Economics from the IIU, International Islamic University. So he has this whole set of credentials with him and experience. So please do welcome him. And the next speaker, the next panelist that we have is Mr. Alan Lim. Okay, he has been with AmBank as Head of Equity Research. He was formerly from RHB Investment Bank and have more than 12 years of analyst experience in covering various sectors like healthcare, rubber gloves, plantation, property. So you guys, if you want to ask about rubber glove, maybe you can ask Mr. Allen because he has covered rubber gloves before, right? Plantation, property, telecommunications, transportation, and others. He holds a Bachelor of Science from University of Technology, Malaysia, and he is a Chartered Financial Analyst or CFA holder. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome them to the session today. Hello, Dr. Anthony. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Alan.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you well, Doc.
Right.
Right, Alan.
Hi,
maybe you
Alan.
want to say
Morning.
something so that.
Hi, Benny. Hi, Anthony.
All right, looks like we're all set to go, lah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much for
I
joining.
like your shirt, lah. Hey, Benny, I like your shirt, lah. You're already in the Chinese New Year mood. If I only knew, I would have worn my Chinese New Year shirt, man.
This shirt we only wear once in a year, lah.
Is that
I
the first
also
time you
wanted to
wear?
Lucky still can wear.
Yeah. Looks nice.
All right. Just for the occasion, lah. Yeah.
No, if I knew, I would have got my Chinese New Year baju, no. I got one. I got Hari Raya baju, I got Chinese New Year baju, Deepawali baju, semua ada.
Next time we should just wear that, so they just to.
Yes, that's right. Next round. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Yes. Yeah, some of today's theme is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
So you do want to hear from
my year, this is my year, okay?
Oh, really?
I'm Water Tiger. Yes.
Wow. Mine will be 2 years later, lah.
Yours is dragon, lah.
Yeah, so the hidden one only come 2 years later, right?
2 years later, yes. Market will pick up 2 years later.
Oh, really? Okay, that's what we want to hear from you guys today, lah. Fantastic. Okay, maybe we start with the session first, right? Maybe any one of you can answer the questions, but we have been in a challenging year for the past 2 years, like economic wise, we are now in negative GDP, right? But so I just want to get your guys' opinion on how do you think 2022 will be for global economy and also Malaysia specifically.
Okay. Well, okay, maybe I'll take this first. Alan, you okay?
Yeah.
So,
please go ahead.
Okay, what happened here is this, just a quick recap. If you look at the whole scenario setting, when initially 2020 started, that means just at the end of 2019, although the COVID issue was there, that was at Wuhan and all, but no one priced in the severity of it. So in actual fact, 2020, we were looking at a fairly decent growth. Even global side, we were not looking at phenomenal growth, but going to be slower than 2019. Reason being, we had the trade war issue, there was political issues and so on. That includes Malaysia also. But however, when came March, everything took a U-turn. the pandemic, the whole virus thing was declared as a pandemic. Then we had these unprecedented measures, supply, demand disrupted almost immediately. And you saw job losses. So everything got hit. Added to that, there was also flood issues, natural disaster all over the world. So it is not just the virus we are talking about. Today, we are talking about climate change. So there's another very big issue out there. So given all this, 2020, in all that scenario setting, many companies struggled, but they were able to survive in 2020 because 2019, at least the pockets were okay. But if you talk about micro businesses and some SMEs, they couldn't last more than 3 months. But then came 2021, the continuation of the whole thing took place. Everyone thought because the vaccine came, everything's overdone, so life is going to go on. So at that point of time, you look at the whole world, we were going on a coordinated measure. The sense that stimulus, monetary side, where interest rates were all-time low. So fair enough, the bond markets were doing well, and equity also bounced back fast because we recovered very fast, actually, from the virus impact. We did not expect the world economy to come out that fast in 2020, to be very honest. So we came out quite fast. Having said that, fast forward 21, everyone thought the worst is over, probably the vaccine will save. Then comes the Delta variant. And now we have Omicron. So if you come into Malaysia, so coming into 2022, this year, I will say that the recovery is there globally, but you must remember it's going to be very, very uneven. So what is supporting the global business today? When you talk about economics, it's made up of consumer spending, there's people like us, and there's a need of businessmen down there, business activities, investment, capital expenditure. So what is going to happen this year is that from my discussion with lots of people, more than 20,000 of SMEs and MNCs, generally speaking, if I look at the whole global trend, it's still continuing to benefit from the stimulus measures of last year. So that is still kicking in. So that is one part here. The good thing is that the vaccination is picking up. But then again, vaccination pool, basically the developed countries are benefiting the most. If you look at many of the emerging markets like African region, I don't think even one dose has gone there. So the dust has not settled. That's why I'm saying the recovery is so uneven here. But the third part is that, okay, the vaccination is helping. The third part is we are seeing gradual opening of the economy. So that's good. And so what's happening here is that we are hoping there is no more lockdowns and MCOs on planet Earth. Not just Malaysia, it's the whole planet Earth. Because you must remember today, when you're looking at valuation of any company on planet Earth, they are all interrelated in terms of supply chain. The global supply chain is so interrelated and so complex. But the good thing is that I am seeing the global manufacturing and services have picked up on the whole. So that's the positive side. Coming to Malaysia, yes, we would be benefiting from the 530 billion stimulus measures, plus whatever that was announced in the budget. So that should be helping. So where is our upliftment going to come from? Private consumption. We are hoping private consumption has to pick up. Because if the consumers, people like us, do not spend, businesses are not going to expand. So the businesses that are doing well now here in this country are all the export driven, that those benefiting from the COVID, such as the glove players. The E&E has come back. So some of them relating to chemical and chemical products. So these are the areas we see there's an upliftment. Then we are riding on the commodity prices, CPO and palm oil. So besides that, on the domestic side, if you look at consumer, what we are seeing in terms of business, I'm not talking in terms of equity valuation, I'm talking from a business perspective. What we are seeing is the basic necessity of consumer spending is there, the basic. But you talk about discretionary, only pent-up demand here and there. So this is what is happening and benefiting Malaysia at the moment. Also, Malaysia this year, if you look at in terms of economic performance or valuation, also maybe valuation, Alan will speak later, the low base is helping, because last year low base. Initially, everyone were talking Malaysia will grow 6%, 7% in all the number. Finally, now came down to 3.5 last year. Because we had COVID issue, we have political issue. Please don't forget, we have our own political issue, which is not over. And we had a change of a leader. And now, going forward. So these are the issues. So we have a low base that has helped, plus domestic spending. Then we were hoping the RCEP would have been signed last year end, but now I think will be by first quarter, second quarter this year. So the RCEP comes, that should help us on the export. So, but in all this aspect, yes, while we are looking at a bit more of a positive trend coming out, you must remember there is still a lot of downside risk on the global plus Malaysia. Number one, the Omicron variant itself, we don't know how bad. Okay, it is spreading very fast, but we know it fizzles out quickly. Now, this is not the end, because already now, globally, all business people, including households, they are increasingly pricing in for new variants to come in. So that one, the question here is, will there be another lockdown termasuk Malaysia? So I must tell you a true story. MCO 1.0, okay, stimulus measure semua datang, you pergi pinjam duit. Okay, senang lah, you pinjam duit, you naik aja, tak, MCO 2.0. Pinjam duit lagi, naik MCO 3.0. Now habis kena flood, whack, kau. So you must understand, going forward, can we afford another lockdown on MCO? My personal view, no go. Okay, there's a no go. Another round of lockdown, I will have to reduce by 1 to 3% of Malaysia's growth. So if I'm looking at this year, let's say 5.5%, contoh, okay, around that's the region you're looking at, I have to reduce by 1 to 3%. That means you can imagine where business is going to be. Second thing, from looking at recovery, now everyone are talking about inflation. Now, inflation, we got a problem. You tengok CPI inflation, it says 4%, 4.5%, 4.6%. But you go and ask the man on the road, he said, apa 4%? Kway teow now is what, $6, $7, you go to Penang. So that itself is talking about 30% cost of living has gone up. So you can imagine there is a mismatch between inflation and cost of living, not just Malaysia, the whole world. So if the cost of living is running up, your income, your disposable income is actually eroding. So that's a big issue, which the government of Malaysia is aware, and we are trying to address that. Third part is that this year, we are talking about interest rates going up. And for the US Fed, I'm looking at 2 rate hike is like a done deal. We are talking about 3 and a possibility of 4. Now, it's not just US. We are also talking about UK. You look at Korea raising rates some more, and it's not the end for Korea. Malaysia, 1 rate hike is a done deal from my take, but there can be another rate hike. So if everyone are starting to raise rates, what is going to happen? There's going to be volatility in the global financial market this year. That means money could be moving out from this region back to the US. Okay, so that volatility is something you cannot avoid. And plus, on the top of that, if we start talking about rising inflation and slower growth, that means something like a stagflation plus inflation going up and you're raising interest rate. The fear now is whether there can be a policy error. You raise rates too fast. What happens if a new variant comes in beside inflation and then you are raising interest rate? Go up. So that part is a very loud story here, I'm telling. Then the other part is that with the raising of interest rate, dollar can strengthen. Bila dollar strengthen, emerging market is going to cry because they have got a lot of borrowings. Let me tell you, over the 18 months only 18 months of this cheap interest rate, we are talking about $1.5 trillion masuk emerging market. Now, this money is going to come out because they went into emerging market despite knowing that the economy is bad because they were searching for high yields. So that's the thing. Many people, in fact, yesterday also in a presentation with Madrid, with the global investors, we were talking about global supply chain. My take on global supply chain is not over. You think about China. Because of Omicron, because China policy is zero COVID. Now, zero COVID is scary, you know. Any one time, 1 fella, 2 fellas, or 5 fellas, the guy will do a lockdown. Lockdown, supply chain disruption. Now you see, Kongi Fachai coming. There was a zero COVID policy because of Omicron lockdown, affecting supply chain. US, the ports cannot clear, 4 weeks to clear because supply chain issue, pekerja issue, labor issue. UK, same problem. So the global supply chain issue is a challenge. And I don't foresee this anytime coming out. We are going to come out of it. Probably the earliest, if we are lucky, second half of this year. But you want to look at a more stabilized situation, it is going to be 2023 coming into 2024. So that's where we are. And the last one I would like to highlight is on the China risk itself. China themselves are slowing down. So we are looking at around 5. They still have the property issues and all other issues inside China. So you can see they are trying to slow down the growth and create stability. So this is the final third. And the last one I must say is definitely the political risk this year. Remember, we have US midterm election, Europe ada banyak, Malaysia pula lepas Julai ini, will there be a GE or will there be a GE next year? Even if we have a GE 15, what is it going to be the outcome? Will we have somebody who wins close to 2/3 majority, or again somebody wins with another 5 seats different, and then we see changing batons here and there? So that uncertainty. I think, let me stop here for a while. I think this is a real challenge at the moment on the global front, and here there is an upside, but you must remember of these headwinds. I'll stop here. Maybe Alan, you want to add something, please?
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. So, yeah, in terms of valuation, we are looking at the KLCI to finish at 1,600 by end of this year. So it is higher than the current level. The reason, okay, let's look at what our 1,600 is based on first. It's based on 50.6 times for a PE or negative half standard deviation. So negative half standard deviation means that we already priced in the negative 3.5% earnings growth for KLCI counters that we cover this year. And also we do expect that there will be lower liquidity due to the higher interest rate expected in US. However, why is it that we are still expecting the higher KLCI target compared to the current level? It is because that already a lot of people and investors have already priced in. For example, for foreign ownership in Malaysia, many of Malaysian counters are at a record low. So yes, that's a concern, but since they already sold down to almost a record low, that means they are not that much to be sold by foreigners anyway. So that's one of the things that we should take note of. That means the good news is there, but since they already sold so much, there's nothing much they can sell further. And secondly, is also on the COVID. Last year we started with a positive outlook, thinking that basically last year we were too optimistic because the news of vaccine were on the front page, and everyone thought that in the next 2 weeks or 1 month, people are going to take the vaccine so soon. And they forgot that it takes time, because in order to vaccinate 7 billion people on Earth, it's not that easy. Logistics and a lot of coordination needed. That's why we see that the vaccination for Malaysia only pick up in July in 2021. And fast forward to today, we are almost 80% of our population have been vaccinated. And this is actually very good, because if we compare to G7, we are only number two after Japan. So in terms of vaccination rate against of the total population, we are better than many G7 countries like US, UK, and even France. So what this means is that, yes, Omicron is there, is a threat, but because of the vaccine, Omicron has the ability to bypass vaccine. So even people with vaccine, there's still a chance that they will get Omicron. But the most important thing is that we see that hospitalization rate, that means the vaccine do protect against hospitalization and also severe symptoms. That's why as of yesterday, the number of deaths has declined to, number of daily deaths has declined to about 10 to 20. So yeah, I think this is one of the things that wasn't really reported by the media. At the worst point, we have about 300 deaths per day, somewhere around August last year. And now it has declined to about 10 to 20. So this is actually quite because we used to use that as an easy proxy to hospitalization level. So yes, the cases remain high, 3,000 plus in Malaysia. But the positive things is that hospitalization rate has declined, And because of the low hospitalization rate, we believe that the decision, as of now, the decision to not to have lockdown in Malaysia is still a very logical decision, because the economy cost is just too high. And yeah, China is, I think currently only China is implementing zero COVID strategy, and all the rest of the world have been trying to live with COVID, trying to use live with COVID strategy. And I think it's a logical one, because China is just a different world altogether compared to the rest of the world. If we look at how fast they do things, at least double or triple the speed of the rest of the world. And also the coordination, top-down coordination is very fast. And yeah, so basically we can't really compare with China. But having said that, the threat from the supply chain is there. That's why we see that because of supply chain will lead to inflation. So the high inflation is likely to stay for at least first quarter and second quarter. And if there is any chance for it to resolve for the supply chain side, probably in the second half, assuming that Omicron, okay, Omicron is a double-edged sword, because people who have been infected with it, because of the rate is spread, and the fact that people who have been infected, the next time they will be infected, they will most likely get less severe symptoms. So if it spread out to more and more people, then the second time when there's another variant, then the same person, assuming this person survives Omicron, then this person will have higher chance to survive the next variant. And yesterday we have news coming out from South Africa saying that the Omicron caused less severe symptoms compared to even for unvaccinated people. So overall it's a threat, but there's a silver lining in the Omicron story, meaning to say that due to the rate that is spread and is less severe, it's like any bad news, there's always another side to look at it. This could probably be the solution. For example, in US, about 40% of the people refuse to get vaccination. So yeah, it's a democracy. It's almost a full-fledged democracy in US. Since those people who don't want to get vaccinated, then Omicron could be somehow like the forced type vaccination. If I would, make.
Okay.
And,
all right, Alan.
yeah.
I mean, we have been looking at the challenges for the past 2 years, and Dr. Anthony has also put some of the challenges that we may face this year. Coming from political, coming from economy. I mean, we are living in an unprecedented times, right? So maybe Dr. Anthony later will share with us what's the positive side. But before that, I just want to ask Alan, because you have a projection of 1,006 for the KLCI this year, right? By end of this year. I know KLCI has different component of stocks. So which sector do you think that will support the index moving this year with your target?
Yeah, given that banking has the highest weightage in KLCI stocks, and we are also bullish on banking sector, then we think that banking will be the supportive sector. And we are overweight on banking because banking sector, in terms of income, they will be the only one that's benefiting from the higher interest rate. Because of the timing of the interest rate, usually they will be a net beneficiary.
Right. So Dr. Anthony says definitely there'll be one this year, possibly be more. So that's why we are looking at the banking sector. Other than the banking sector, are there anything that is able to support the index?
Yeah, we are also positive on telco and also oil and gas. However, oil and gas is due to high crude oil price, and telco is due to 5G play. And the trend it seems to me that the trend is going to be the same for the next 3 to 5 years. 5G, whichever country will always focus on 5G, they need 5G to be able to grow sustainably. And if they choose not to participate in 5G, then it's like a very difficult choice because they choose not to participate in the growth of the global economy.
Right. Okay, there's a follow-up question here from Sam, who's one of our participants. So if you have projected KLCI to be 1006, is there any possible downside for the market to actually go lower?
Yes, we are actually looking at 3 risks. The first risk, which has been explained by Dr. Anthony, is China economic slowdown. So the one I think I won't explain more since it has been covered, but there are 2 other risks that I would like to share. First is that the climate change is real, and because we are not really prepared for it, this could be a risk that could cause the downside to earnings. And since it causes downside to earnings, then it may affect KLCI, our KLCI target.
Right.
And why do I say so is because if we look at the recent floods, which affected many states, at least 7 states and more than 60,000 people, we have seen that how unprepared are we, and what if the same thing gets repeated in the 4th quarter this year? Are we better prepared, or the same thing is going to happen again at a more unprecedented scale? So that's one risk, climate change risk. And second is just now is first ESG on the environmental side. That's the first risk. And second risk is on the social side, ESG, in which we have seen that in the 4th quarter last year, there were 3 companies, October, November, and December. Each month we have 3 companies gets the ban from US CBP. And that's a surprise to me because I thought that after October, then we won't see much. But then it came out each month. So now we are in the mid of January. Touch wood, I think we should not have any more Malaysian companies banned by US CBP. But that's a risk that we need to face because nowadays, even though we are Malaysian companies, and given the high dependency on foreign laborers for some of the sectors, like gloves and plantation, then the expectation from the Western, especially US and Europe side, is that we have to follow international standard in terms of the way how we treat the foreign laborers. So yeah, that's a risk. And if there is a further ban on any of the public listed companies, then it could cause significant downside to the share price. So those are the 3 risks that I would like to highlight.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Now, we know that the US markets has been the biggest market that is performing really very well. I mean, really well means it's really going like crazy, and of course driven by the tech sector, right? And despite, I mean, right now you look at the valuations of tech companies, especially electric vehicles like Tesla and all that, they're going through the roof. I think a lot of people do not know how to actually evaluate them anymore right now. But what do you think? Because there is a follow-up question actually from, let me see, from Sam, if I'm not mistaken. Sam, oh, sorry, Alex. Alex, can you put the question in the Q&A, right? Not on the chat session. But because you are talking about this one, so do you think that the tech sector is overvalued? And do you think, if it's not, do you think there is still potential growth?
Yes, let me answer these questions from a Malaysia technology sector perspective. So we are still overweight on the technology sector. Yes, recently the share price declined due to expectation of higher interest rate because if we follow the typical financial theory, interest rate hike means lower stock price, and it hit the high growth company the most. But again, we have to take note that many of the historically theory has been rewritten in the past 2 to 3 years, and we are now living in a COVID era in which it basically throws all the theory at the back. So we are still overweight on the technology sector, despite the higher interest rate expectation. Reason is because of the structural growth story is still there. Meaning to say they are one of the few sectors in which we can safely forecast their earnings to continue to register positive growth for the next 3 years. And the earnings growth come from volume growth. So it's quite sustainable. It's not like ASP hike, in which ASP hike is usually not sustainable. ASP refers to average selling price, which is what happened to our gloves. So basically, if the earnings growth come from ASP, then it won't last. It won't last long. But if the earnings growth come from volume growth, then it's a sustainable one. And for technology, we are seeing that the demand from the 5G angle and also EV is there, because the world really needs that, from the need of people to have a better life and also to have a better and safer environment from the ESG side.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Right,
Now,
Benny,
yeah.
just if I can just add on to the US tech side.
Sure.
I mean, for a start, if you look at the budget itself, 2021 budget, US tech budget is about 7.4% growth. 2022, they are looking at something like about 6.7%, 6.8% growth. So what's happening now is that if you look at the tech side here, there are some people looking at it as neutral. Because if you look at the run-up, it has got run up a lot. And this sector on the whole, from where we are, from what I'm seeing and from the discussions that we had, it's appearing to be more neutral than overweight as at this juncture.
Right.
And it's still going to be supported by the demand recovery is there. And the question here is all about the supply chain disruption. Okay, so you must remember the supply chain, the connectivity of supply chain. I just give an example. E&E supply chain in Malaysia is a component of 948 companies. So just imagine one gets hit. So I think that's the part here that they are a little worried about here. And fair enough, where's the demand coming is mainly because of the modernization of the workflow. So that is continuing to go on. And also, there is also this demand on this part of the software and also on the hardware, the clouds and all these things are coming. But why is it again neutral? Besides the supply chain constraint, the other part is also the geopolitical risk. So this is the other part here that comes in. So I think net, it would be easier to look at more of a neutral situation than compared to because 2021 dengan 2020, if you look at the global semiconductor cycle, 2019 was all-time low. And then 2020 started picking up. And then we got hit by all this COVID. So, okay, we moved up. But I think now the cycle is moving the other direction. It's growing, but it's not going to grow at a very exponential pace. So it will be more of a neutral situation here. And also you must remember, it's not just Malaysia, but the whole world today, we are talking about climate change. We are talking about ESG plus health. Previously, before COVID was just ESG, that means environment, social governance. Now we are adding in health because this is the new norm of wearing face masks and social distancing and so on and so forth. So this is extremely important. And you're talking about modern slavery. There are more than 40 countries in this world hit by modern slavery. So this is again another topic that will come into the picture because Malaysia, this is nothing new about Malaysia. This is not a new story that plantation company got hit. Last year, you saw that our semiconductors got hit, gloves got hit. But these are stories that has already been brought into the country way back 2013, 2014. It was already highlighted about the abuse of the foreign workers, or not just foreign workers, even local workers for the matter. But now, because of the COVID has opened up everything, and the whole world today, whether you are a listed or unlisted company, if you do not comply to ESG plus health, then chances are your product cannot move in. You will not be in the supply chain system really anymore. So these are things that's coming into the picture. So I think that's very important for all of us to actually take into consideration. As what Alan said, I won't be surprised if there are more listed companies get hit, but I hope that doesn't happen. I hope whatever we have learned from last year and the previous year, people take things seriously to improve the ESG plus health.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting thing because right now everybody is talking about ESG, right? And you know, during the COVID lockdown in 2020, it seems like the world has healed, right? There's not many cars around and so on and so forth. So hopefully we're able to maintain. But it is quite a big topic right now. Maybe the next time when AmInvest want to do a seminar, we should be focusing on ESG. How many of you guys will be interested in an ESG subject? Because I think in the long term, that will be an unstoppable trend that we should be looking forward to. So if you guys are interested, maybe you click yes or just put ESG so that we see what kind of you guys will be interested or not. All right. Now, thank you so much, Dr. Anthony. Now, moving back, we're going back micro again to Malaysia. We are seeing quite a number of, I mean, there was actually a sell down over the past 1 week, after we got quite an okay start. But we do see some pressure this week, especially in the tech sector as well. So there's actually a question here from Sam. When do you think the tech sector, correction will be completed? I think that's what everyone asks, because most of them were asking, once the correction is over, is it time to enter, right? But like Dr. Anthony mentioned, the tech sector, there is still some growth, but we already see that exponential growth over the past few years, right? The question is, can it go up higher? So, of course, Dr. Anthony says, yes, there'll be growth, but not as exponentially, not as previously, right? So looking at the local sector, do you think that the correction right now will be a major one, or because there is still growth in the tech sector, will Malaysian companies, especially in the tech sector, will continue to support the growth in the tech sector?
Yeah, I think if we look at the timing, now we are in the mid of January. For the next 1 or 2 weeks, the news flow are likely to be on the interest rate hike, and the news flow on interest rate hike from the US side, or at least the expectation of it, will be negative to tech, tech sector. But as we move into February, towards the second half of February, we will be having a result season, and assuming that the tech sector will continue to show that they are able to grow their earnings year on year, then there will be a testament to itself to show to the investors. And basically, in terms of timing, we think that actually we shouldn't time the market. But if we were to really try to put an estimate to it in terms of news flow in the next 1 or 2 weeks, is if the negative news on the interest rate high expectation is still there, then people may not be that bullish on it in the near term. But when they deliver their good set of earnings in February, then we could see some buying interest back.
Right. Okay, thank you, Alan. Now I'm going to go back to the economic side of things. There is this earlier when in the budget 2022 was announced, they actually the government wanted to reverse the exemption on a foreign tax income, foreign sourced income. Yeah, right? Foreign sourced tax. Yeah, but of course they said no, they're not going to do it, so it's back to normal. Yeah. But there's a question here from Vikram that says there is still this Cukai Makmur for listed companies' financial results for year 2022. How do you think that this will impact the stock prices and dividend payouts?
Okay, this is supposed to be a one-off and caught everyone by surprise, I must say. Okay, and we are taking it quite, I mean, it is a negative impact to the market per se itself. While we say that we need to seek source of revenue to fund the budget, but generally speaking, it's going to be negative for 2022. But we are just hoping that by the next budget, that is budget 2023, this would not be extended. Because there's always this fear at the end of the day is that, will this just be a one-off or will there be a continuity, assuming, okay, let's say if this whole COVID issue really takes a strong toll, continue to take a strong toll on the economy, businesses are really going down, market is also struggling, everyone is struggling, then there's a possibility that there are some people are talking, is there a possibility of this Cukai Makmur being continued for another 1 more year as a bailout factor to help the country's revenue? So to your question is, yes, definitely at the moment, it's a negative perception to investors, not just on the equity, but generally across all investors, whether you're a portfolio or even normal investors, so to speak. But it's just that we hope it's just a one-off, as what they say, and it stops.
Right. Okay, thank you, Dr. Anthony. Now, there are a set of questions coming in right now, but I'm going to go back to everybody's basically asking which sector to look at, all right? Maybe briefly you can mention what are your views on these sectors. But one of the sectors that has been quiet for some time is the property sector, right?
Yes.
So what are your views generally on the property sector? And I mean, in Bursa Malaysia, we have REITs to invest. And of course, REITs also divided into different sectors. Like we have the office REITs, we have the industrial ones, and all that. So general view on the property sector for this year moving forward. And second thing, is there any opportunities in the REIT sector itself?
Alan, you want to take this first?
Yes. So let's start with property first. So for property, we are neutral on the sector because we see that in terms of sales, although it's a better year on year, but it's not that in terms of growth of sales, it's not that exciting compared to historically. And secondly, on rates, however, on rates, we are positive on it because most of the rates that we cover are exposed to retail. And I saw that there's one question on Lgbt rates, so I will answer it together. So based on the Google mobility trend, we see that people have been coming out, and one of the places that they go most is a shopping mall. Now it's almost back to 80 to 90% of COVID time, and in some cases it's even exceed that pre-COVID time. So what that means is that it will be good for pavilion REITs and also Lgbt REITs, and that's why we are still maintaining our buy call on these two REITs.
Right.
Okay.
In terms of that's all. That's my view on property and also REITs.
All right, thank you.
Okay, if I just were to add on the property on the whole, I kind of share with Alan also. We can take it as neutral, but you got to segmentize the property side. If you just look at residential, what we are seeing is that 350,000 below, there's an appetite. If you're talking about condo, not really. There's a glut. Anything Johor, forget it. Condo, it's not going to move. So we are talking about maybe 2025, 2026 kind of situation because excessive glut there. So you got to really segmentize. But if you look at industrial property, yes, it's a positive. Why is it a positive? That's largely because due to the COVID, we started seeing a strong pickup of online sales, e-commerce, e-wallet, all this really picked up. Today's business world, we are moving to e-commerce and e-wallet. And what we realize is that, and you must remember, we are becoming the regional logistic hub. So nowadays, businesses are all going into cluster mapping. So cluster mapping means, like say Contoh, Tiong Nam, okay, as an example, he sets up an outfit, then he's got his cluster mapping all around there. So they're becoming we are encouraging that. So what I would say is that industrial properties should start to pick up, supported by logistics, supported by the recovery in the manufacturing side and the services side coming in. So that's positive. If you ask me on office, not really, abundant. If you ask me shop lots, abundant, but still okay. That one again location based. But if you shopping complex, banyak juga lah. Boleh tahan lah banyak. So on the whole, what will happen is that you got to be very selective on this whole thing here. So that will be. And also you must remember, material costs have run up like crazy. We are talking about as high as 70% up on material costs. Cement costs, from my discussion with the cement players, we are talking about 30% up per bag. So what about your basi and all those things? We are talking about 50 to 70% up. So that is also an issue down there on the property side. Thanks.
Right, thank you, Dr. Anthony. Now, there's a question on inflation and interest rates. I think Dr. Anthony has already mentioned it earlier. Now, we're going to save the best part for last. So what are the positive things that's going to happen probably this year? But we're going to move on to some, I mean, there are a lot of questions coming in right now. So I think we're going to focus on the sectors themselves because, you know, as investors, we want to see where the sectors are performing at the moment. So the other one that is coming up is basically the commodity sector. So basically Malaysia is palm oil, right? So we are seeing palm oil prices hitting historical highs, but we are not seeing the share price of plantation companies moving in tandem with the palm oil prices. So why is that?
Yes, yeah, it's a very good question, because if we were to experience this 10 years ago, the share price of plantation counters would have run at least 30 to 40%. So what has changed in the past 10 years is, of course, ESG. And as of now, FGV and also Sime Darby plantation are still banned by US CBP, the Custom Border Protection Agency. So in terms of earnings, it's not so huge because US is not really a buyer of, it's not a major buyer of Malaysia palm oil. But in terms of perception, because a lot of funds are from US and also Europe, so that has reduced the demand for plantation shares. So basically, the earnings upside is there, but the share price didn't follow. The reason is earnings. Yes, earnings is one of the driver for share price. But in today's complex world, we have to consider ESG, and because of ESG, unfortunately, it has reduced the demand for the shares from the, because if you take a view, let's say I'm a US fund manager, I have let's say 100 billion USD to invest. Do I want to take chance of let's say I want to take chance to take a 50 million position, which is less than 1% of my portfolio? And because nowadays NGOs are very influential, so let's say I'm a US fund, I take that small position, less than 1%, but because of that 1% in plantation counters, then the NGO will come and make a big hoo-ha. Oh, this fund has exposure to certain companies which have ESG issues, and then it appears in the first page of Bloomberg. So that kind of thing in short, earnings have decoupled from share price due to ESG, and that's why we are maintaining our neutral call on the sector.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Just to add on that again, besides ESG, we have the labor issue. You remember last year, because of labor shortage, 1 billion loss. 1 billion loss from plantation.
Yep.
So if this issue, we cannot solve it this year, then probably there's going to be another 1 billion loss, probably. So I think that's a challenge here. And again, back to the labor slavery. What I would define as modern labor slavery today. So they are very particular about that also.
Yeah, so these are basically the challenges. I mean, Dr. Anthony, that's what I mentioned, because I do look at plantation companies based in Indonesia are really doing very well, right? Because I think they are able to supply, whereas Malaysia have the supply issue lah.
And then they also have gone to B40, B50 kind of thing. Kita B10, B20 pun belum masuk lagi.
Correct. Yeah.
So lambat lagi ya.
Yeah, I mean Malaysia. I think Indonesia is moving to B40, right?
Oh, very fast. They are very fast. They are very fast.
Yeah. So hopefully these issues are solved. Then I think we'll get better prices for palm oil companies lah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Now going backward, going forward, we also look at the logistics and transport sector. So I mean, we have been facing challenges during the lockdown, but now it's opening up. So how do you see this sector, logistics, including transportation and also warehousing? So what do you think about this sector? So.
Yeah, for logistics, because logistics companies are very diverse. So let's start with the with aviation first. We have a neutral call on Malaysia airports and also sell call on Asia. The reason is because because of the emergence of Omicron. The first to be hit will be the aviation sector, because people will be very careful if they were to travel using airplane. And also we have seen that many countries choose to close down their borders to certain countries, and that will affect the air travel demand. And next we have to look at the seaports. So we are positive on seaports, which is Westports. We have a buy call on Westports. The reason is there will be an indirect beneficiary of the supply chain issue. So the supply chain issue will cause the price to move the container, in which we are using SCFI, the Shanghai Containerized Freight Index, SCFI. In short, is the price to pay to move a container globally. So we have seen that SCFI has surged from $1,000 to about $5,000, and that has benefited shipping companies. And since that shipping companies are the customers of Westports, so Westports also will, in a way, benefit from it, because they will get faster payment from the customers, in which these are shipping companies, and also probably I would imagine that there are discounts given to the, last time maybe they give 10%, now they just give less, maybe 5% discount. So they won't benefit straight away from the $1,000 to $5,000, but they were the indirect beneficiary because of their customers benefiting from it.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. If I just add on here, okay, on the logistics and transport, for a start, global trade is picking up. This year, we are seeing global trade to grow by about 6% in real terms. So that itself should help in terms of the logistics side. And the second, besides the trade, is also supported by the recovery of businesses around the world. So what we are seeing here is that there's going to be a trend in the pickup of land transport. With the reopening of the border, no more MCOs, no more lockdowns. So we are expecting that to pick up. Cargo deliveries, we are also expecting that to pick up, and the shipping side. Only challenge here is that if you look at the freight charges have really run up. Okay, it's really gone up phenomenally, and we expect that rates to go up. You just look at the Baltic Dry Index, it itself tells you how high the cost has gone up. And but having said that, if you are asking when will all this stabilize in terms of the costing, should be 2023. Earliest, you're lucky it's earliest 2023, if not 2024. So this is where it is. And then if you are looking at the airline industry, that is very much related to tourism and tourism related. As far as tourism and tourism related are concerned, if you're talking about benchmarking 2019 punya levels, we can't see it anytime happening until 2024 as a current standing. And if this Omicron kind of thing and new variants continue to take place, then it's going to move to the bar is going to go even further, 25, 26. But having said that, it is going to be more local travels is what the focus will be now, and then gradually the opening up coming into the picture. So net, if you really look at the whole logistic and transport, yes, certain areas would be doing well, certain areas will be coming out. But you don't expect everybody to come back to 2019 level in 2020 and this year or next year. Certain players can, probably the cargo guys can, because supported by the trade. But if you're talking about airlines, I think it will take some time, probably 23 or 24. So you got to now start segmentizing things out. I think that would be much better than you just not longokan like that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Now, there's another questions that come up quite from a number of participants, and that's got to do with oil. So we are seeing quite good rebound in oil prices over the past 1 year. And what's your outlook on oil prices and the outlook on the oil and gas related companies in Malaysia as well?
Yes, we have an overweight call on the oil and gas sector with an average price of $70 to $75 per barrel. So the reason why we are positive on this is, again, if we look at the expansion of upstream, because of ESG, the expansion of upstream has been limited, but the world is not prepared for that kind of slowdown in terms of oil field growth. And as the economy reopens, people start travel again. So I think most of us, probably some of us already have to go back to office, maybe half of the time, or some of my friends even have to go 100% back to office. So naturally, we already use more crude oil. And because of the demand, basically in the short term, the demand growth is higher than the supply growth. The supply growth is limited due to ESG concern, and because of that, the oil price should likely to stay high at around $70 to $75. And that's why our bullish call on the sector.
All right, thank you. Dr. Anthony, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, in the sense of the oil price, yes, we expect the trend to be still up this year, but eventually it will start to come down. If you're going to take a longer term view of the oil price, we are looking at about $8 to $10 a barrel by 2040. Because you must also remember that alternative energies are coming in, and we are moving very fast on the EVs, global vehicle EVs, that includes Malaysia. And Malaysia, we are trying to hit about a big chunk by 2030 in terms of EV vehicles. And global side, we are talking about 95% of global vehicles to be EV by 2040. So you must remember that, yes, this is a very much short-term play, but on a longer term, there's going to be a different ball game for this industry. So if the industry players themselves are not ready, they still want to drag 2025, 2030, my fear is that they can get hit very badly. To be very honest, this year, we are pushing very hard for EV cars, which is already being launched. For a start, BMW has already brought in, and we are encouraging more EV vehicles to come in. So the dynamics is going to change. For now, you can benefit, you can ride on the price and whatever not. But if you're going to take a long-term view of 5 years, 10 years, you buy the share, keep for your next generation, then you start following very closely on the future developments.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, EV is something that's going big worldwide. Hopefully,
Yes,
Malaysians are able to build the infrastructure for EV because
we are working on it. Actually, we are
right.
working on it, and hopefully it works out, really.
Great, great. So that's the future that we are looking forward to.
Yes.
Okay,
So
now
you should start looking at companies already positioning for the EVs and so on and so forth. Those kind of infrastructure.
Right. Okay,
if you're doing
great.
business, work towards that direction. Kalau buat business.
Yeah, so we're talking about renewable energies right now, right? So
yes.
how would these, because it's part of the ESG as well,
yes.
and how do Malaysia benefit? I mean, of course, Malaysia, we know these solar panel companies like Samaiden or B Solar and all that, right? So do Malaysia has a part in this renewable energy?
Are you asking a question? Yeah. Okay, Alan? Yeah.
In terms of stock specific, we don't have a direct coverage on companies which benefit directly from solar play. However, we have written an unrated piece on SolarVest, so you all can have a look for more information. But since it's an unrated, so we don't have a call and fair value on the counter. But the story is there. Yeah.
All right, thank you, thank you. Now, I know some of you guys are asking whether we have stock picks and all that today, but you know what? As long as you're a client of AmInvest, you will get research reports regularly from Alan and also Dr. Anthony from the research team. So please, if you you want to know more on their opinions, their stock picks, their calls on the market, just join as a client for AmInvest. All right. Okay, moving forward, there are a few more questions left. I think there are quite a number of questions coming, but they're all over, so I'm just putting them together. Now, we have been talking, or even globally, have been talking about the 5G right, for mobile communication. So where are we at right now? It seems to be quite quiet at the moment. And if we are going to roll out nationwide, where do you think, or who do you think will benefit from it?
You want to start first?
Yeah, Telecom Malaysia will of course be the beneficiary because they are likely to, because historically, if you look at 3G and also a bit of 4G, they are the backbone provider for the whole system. So for 5G, the same thing should be the same. Meaning to say, we expect TM to be one of the key players to roll out 5G. And of course, all the other mobile players will also benefit, but TM should benefit the most because they are likely to be the key players in terms of backbone provider.
Right. Dr. Anthony,
okay, yeah. So I think we have been talking about 5G for quite some time. And the real push factor came in because of this COVID factor. And we realized that working from home has disrupted a lot. Even at the government side, there was a lot of disruption because for digitalization. And today, if you notice, if the government is pushing very hard for one of the areas of business model is to focus on digitalization, besides automation and tech advancement. So if we do not have this infrastructure of 5G there, then it's going to be a challenge. So it's just that now, when are we going to roll out and really start implementing? So that's the big challenge here now. So the faster they implement this, the better it is. So logically, telco and all other players could be benefiting from here. The delay would also have a knock-on effect on the speed of wanting to digitalize. Because I must be very honest with you, KL ini you may get certain places 4G at the moment. You go to Penang Island, you can get 4G. You go some part of Butterworth interior, 2G. You go to Sabah, negative 4G. You have to sit on the treetop to get signal. So how to move into digitalized world? So I think this is the issue. This is a real issue. And therefore, I think there's a recognized, they have realized this until a child had to climb up the tree to get signal. So the seriousness is important, and yes, it's on paper, but now it's the implementation and execution to it. Yeah, that's what I've got to say.
All right, thank you, Dr. Anthony. Now, we almost come to an end for this session. So I think we have answered also most of the questions. If you guys have any other questions, we'll put in the email where you can contact AmInvest and the research team later on. And also, some of you guys have been also asking whether this will be recorded and whether you can view this. So what you can do is, our colleague have actually put in an email right there. This session is actually recorded, but I'm not sure whether this is going to be shared with you guys. So you have to, if you have interest in having today's session, just email to that email that we just put in on the chat session, which is marketing-ebs@ambankgroup.com. All right. So they will let you know whether where to watch this recording later on. All right. Now, and thank you everyone also for participating and asking those questions. We do have quite a number of people who wants to know about ESG. So hopefully that maybe AmInvest will be able to give another webinar on that later on. All right. So now before we end this session, so we're going back again to the specifics. I mean, Alan, of course, and his research team has the different calls in different sectors. But because of time, maybe both of our guests over here, maybe you can also share with us what are the two sectors that we should be looking at, or even let's say put in our focus or in our watch list for this year, and which are the two sectors to avoid. Yeah, anyone get start first?
Yeah, of course, we have to position for banking sector because of the expectation of the interest rate, and the news flow for this year is likely to be that the interest rate hike in the US, and also probably, yeah, like what Dr. Anthony said, at least one time in Malaysia for this year. So yeah, that's one, banking. And secondly, I would say would be telco, because of the stable earnings and dividend, and also their position for the 5G play. And in terms of sector to avoid, we have a neutral call on gloves, glove sector. And the reason is because ASP is still declining. So we expect things to, but in terms of average selling price, it should probably bottom out in this quarter. And because of that, since the earnings has not, let's look at February result season. We still expect earnings to drop quarter on quarter. And as a result, this is one of the stock sector to be neutral on in the near term.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Right. I will take from a different perspective. First and foremost, let me look at the global markets and let me dissect into three parts: the bond, the equity, and the gold. Gold will still be a play because of all the noises. You still have an upside to gold for about 5 to 10%, but it's all a trading market. So that's an area you could be looking at. If you're looking at fixed income, bonds, now they are in a conundrum now. The issue is interest rate high. The issue is driven by inflation. There's also this concern about slower growth. So what's happening now? Short-term bond yields have all factored in a rate hike. So you're seeing the yields are moving up. But long-term yields are not really moving much. They're going more on a range bound. US 10, I'm looking at as high as 2%. Anything above 2% is going to be a tall order. That's the US 10. If you're looking at MGS, I'm seeing the trend of MGS 10 to go up to 394. Anything to breach above 4 all depends on what happens in the global market. So the yields are gradually moving up. So that's on the bond side here. And if you look at on the equity side here, I would say that I would be more neutral on the US market compared to Europe. I still see growth on the Europe side. US, if they start raising rates, 2% has been factored, 3 or 4, that would mean that next year, first quarter, second quarter, I could actually be seeing a technical recession in US. Okay, that means quarter on quarter growth is going to be negative. So eventually the trends are going to come down. Euro has still got a lot of growth story for me. So I would be more positive on Euro than on US. Asia, I will still remain positive because Japan is coming out. China was hit very badly last year, so they should be coming out gradually. Okay, although in terms of economic growth, yes, they're coming at 5. That doesn't mean it's all doom and gloom there. Okay, it's more economic rebalancing taking place. So there's a market that you could be looking at out there also. And if you're looking at global equities, I'm looking at, on the whole, looking at about 5 to 10% returns this year. And coming into sector play per se, I would think that, okay, fair enough. There's a lot of this 5G story up here. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be more of a news play. So rather than I look at sector, I would prefer to look at stocks. So you've got to start looking at stock play. I'm not saying Alan is wrong. Alan is right from the sector side. But you also have to look from a stock point of view. Because you must remember this is a challenging time still. You may have a basket of red apples. Not all the red apples inside there are bad. You have to look at which is the bad apple. If there are a lot of bad apples, you got to look at which is a good apple. So let's start looking at stock picking more seriously. Follow the news of the company, and then from there you take up the stories out. So it can be a diverse pool. Even in your property, you may get something very interesting. Even in your gloves, you may find something very interesting, a good company coming up. So I would think that go on a bottom-up approach and also the top-down. So you have to synchronize both things out. Kalau you just go on sector, my fear is only this. Yes, sector is nice because generally people like to look at it. But sometimes coming as a banker, if I'm going to give financing, I don't care about sector so much. If your company is good in a lousy sector, I give you money. You see, if I'm looking from a banking perspective point of view. So likewise, probably you should also look at bottom-up approach beside looking at sector. So you must have a mix of this thing. And in summary, I would say in all this challenging time, there's always opportunities. It is not doom and gloom because always people like to say, "Ayo, die, 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 die." Actually, you don't die. The fellow who said die only doing more money, making more money. So because he is going on stock picking, I think go on stock picking quite seriously. Also. That's what I will come into. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we have sectors that are growing, but inside the sector, there are stocks, right? It's very important to see the stock performance itself. So guys, once again, if you would like to know what kind of stocks that AmInvest is researching on or sectors and whatsoever, please do be a client of AmInvest. If anything, you can email them at the email that we just forwarded, which is marketing-ebs@ambankgroup.com. All right, that's where you get more of Alan and also Dr. Anthony Dass. All right. So thank you so much, Dr. Anthony Dass and Alan Lim, for joining us and sharing your insights and thoughts for our markets this year. And also everyone who's been joining us, don't worry, we still have Master Jesse Lee later on to talk on the feng shui aspect or the metaphysics aspect of the markets this year. So once again, thank you so much, Dr. Anthony and Alan. Wish you all the best and stay safe.
Hey, thanks, Benny. Thanks to everyone, and Kongi for chai in advance. Stay safe and don't travel too much. But make sure all of you get vaccinated and take the booster jab. Okay, we may have to take booster jab for the rest of our life. Okay,
thanks, Benny. Yeah, in fact, I just took mine 2 days ago.
All right,
All
bye.
right.
Thanks.
Yeah, still okay. Okay, thanks everyone.
Okay, now we're going to go on to the next session, which I'll be sharing with you guys. But before that, we're going to give out ang paos again, which is the 10 ringgit touch and go top up. All right, I hope you hear or you take notes in today's session with Anthony and also Alan, because the questions will be based on that. So everyone is ready? Okay, if you guys are still around, can you just raise your hands? The thing about webinars is because we are, as panelists and as presenters, we only see the camera, but we can't see you guys, right? Can you just put a raise of hands so that I know that you guys are still around? Just click the raise hand button. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. I can see people are raising their hands. Okay, I hope you had good insights from Dr. Anthony Dass and also Mr. Alan Lim. Like I said earlier, if you wish to get their reports, you have to be an Invest client. So please do contact them at marketing-ebs@ambankgroup.com. All right. And thank you, everybody. So next ang pao question. What was AmInvest target for the KLCI by end of this year? Okay, fantastic. We have the winner already. 1,600 points. That would be the winner is Tan Yik Ping. Okay, our guys will contact with you in a short while on how you can get that touch up, touch and go top up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for typing it in and participating. We're gonna ask the next question. Okay. Are you guys ready? Okay, this is going to be a little bit difficult, all right? This is going to be a bit difficult. Okay, we all know that Dr. Anthony Dass has a doctor name there, right? So where did he get his PhD from? Which university? You probably have to do a Google search for this if you have missed this earlier. Wow, you guys really look at it. Okay, he has his PhD in economics from UUM. Okay, UUM. Let me see the answer. UUM is the correct answer. Not IIUM. It's UUM. It's not IUM. It's not International Islamic Union. It's not IIM, but it is UUM. So I see the winner here is Muhammad. Now I can't see your full name here, but let me see. Muhammad Aizuddin Hafiz. All right, Muhammad. Okay. Is that correct, organizer? Sorry? Wait, Oh, Mr. Liu. Okay, sorry, we got an earlier one. Okay, I think I just got mine refreshed. So Mr. Liu, sorry, Muhammad. Mr. Liu answered earlier, just microseconds ahead of you. Okay, let me see. Okay, so you only put Liu there. So our guys will contact you in a short while. So don't worry, we have another 4 more to give out. So please do stay with us. All right. Okay, so now is basically my presentation. So I'm just going to go and share with my slides in a short while. If you guys want to take a short toilet break, or maybe you are already in the toilet, I do not know right now, right? But you can have that break right now before we continue. So I'm just going to prepare to share my slides. All right, hold on for a while. And remember, everybody, if you have questions, please do type it in the Q&A questions. If you want me to answer any of your questions. But in this particular session, we'll do a lot of interaction. All right, so get ready. And you can do that interaction in the chat session, not a problem, because that's interaction. But if you do want to ask questions about what I'm about to share, type it in the Q&A session. All right. Okay, let me see whether you can see my screen. All right, looks like it's all up. So what I'm going to do in the first session is to basically go through with you a simulation. All right. Once again, let me just put a few house rules. If you want to ask me any questions, please do type it inside the question and answer. Right. For anything else, please do. You can do it in the chat session. All right. Okay, I hope you participate with me for this particular exercise that we're going to do for the next 40 minutes or so, because after this, we're going to share with you what we have in store for you guys, all right, to further sharpen your skills in investing, okay? And that would be before we have Master Jessie Lee coming with us at 11:10 in a short while, and she will be the last session. Okay. Now let's take a look at this particular chart. If you can see the chart, can you just raise hands? Okay, thank you so much. All right. So this is a typical share price. Like this is a Malaysian company. I will only reveal this later once we have done this exercise, but maybe some of you will already know. I do not put exactly word by word that's being reported over here. This is actually from a news article, so I removed the company name, right? Because if you know the company name, then you probably know what the answer will be. So this is just a simulation. So we're looking at 2014. So what happened is you can see the share price has risen quite sharply, right? If you look at just a year before that, it was just trading around 6 cents, and then it went up all the way to about 19 cents. Okay, and the report came out at that particular time when I circle that chart, right? So the report came out that this company is actually it manufactures industrial products and creates high quality computer related products. And 75% of its sales is derived from exports. All right. Now, in the year 2015 and 2015, you see the report revenue has grown quite good. Net profit was 11.1% higher. So basically, fundamentally, it is quite good. And remember, they belong in the computer related or the tech sector. So in 2014, there was a strong growth in this particular industry. All right. Now, question. Now, normally we all react on news, right? And some of you, of course, look at data and charts or whatsoever. But if you look at this current price, and we know that the price has already risen about, from 6 cents to 19 cents, that's about nearly 4 times. But the question is, what would you do? Okay, although we have seen good news, we have seen that the companies belong in this very good sector. Now you can put your comments on the chat section. So there are only 3 things you can do as an investor, right? Okay, you buy, you sell, or you hold. Buy, sell, or hold. Okay, so I want you to put in the comment section on the comment on the chat, right? No need to put don't put it on the Q&A, because Q&A is reserved for Q&A. But we're going to take a look at the chat session. Okay. So some of you say sell. There are few buys. Is sell some, hold some. Take profit. If you have bought it, you take profit. Now, assuming that we do not hold the share, right? Assuming that, so it's the first decision. So either buy or hold or don't do anything, right? Buy or hold, don't do anything. Okay, don't talk about take profit because we haven't started yet. For example, let's say we haven't started yet. Okay, wait for pullback. Wait. Okay, wait. Okay, of course, you probably need more information on that, but this is just an exercise. Okay, because what I basically want to share with you guys is sometimes price can be quite emotional, right? Okay, wait, hold. Okay, wait. Somebody said buy. Oh no, not many buys. I think because you see the price already quite high, right? And for those who buy, you probably want to take profits. Okay, that's fine. Now, so I'm going to move on, right? I'm going to move on from here. You can stop typing right now. Run euphoria. Okay, let's take a look at the next slide. Okay, so if you can see this slide over here, I think you can see my mouse button, right? So the price was at 19 cents, 20 cents. Remember, this was where we looked at. So since then, the price has came down and is now going at 14.5 cents. So it actually come down quite substantially, right? From 20 cents high, go back to 15 cents. There's a 5 cents drop for a 20 cent stock. That's about 20% move, 25% movement. Okay. Good game, GGWP. Good game, well played. Right. So for those who bought at a high, now I want you to put in your trades okay, what you mentioned earlier, what you have just mentioned on your, or if you don't want to even put it on the chat, just put it on a piece of paper. Just run through the simulation, and I want to see the results later on. All right. Okay, so now we are in the situation where the price is trading at about 14.5 cents. What would you do? Would you buy, or would you sell, or would you hold? Buy. Okay, ladder down. Wow, that's a technique that Andrew has just mentioned, or cupping, sorry. Buy, sell, buy. Okay. Anyone else? Just hold. Wait until my target price. Okay. Just write it down for yourself individually if you can put it in. This is basically exercise for you guys. So although we are not in the class, but we want to just go through the simulation. All right. Okay, depends on volume. Brandon says sell. Okay. Now there's no right or wrong in this particular exercise. All right. And furthermore, we do not have all the information, right? But you only have to remember the data that you have is basically this company is in the tech sector. We'll slowly use the news that's going to come out later. All right. Now you can also type in the poll. I think there's a poll that comes out. You can also put in there if you want to. Okay. I think we do not need to run the poll. I just want to go in the just for you guys to actually record. So we don't need to write the poll because we've been doing quite a number of these. All right. Sell first, then buy back at lower price. Use a Fibonacci retracement. Buy again. Okay. Now, so write it down. This is your own personal one, right? So let me go on. So you can stop typing right now. We're going to go on to the next one. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the price rebounded a little bit from 14.5 low, it went to 15.5 cents. So what would you do? Okay, you can type in right now. Or if you don't want to type in, just write it on a piece of paper so that you want to do this exercise. So hold, this buy, hold. Okay. Awesome. Thank you everyone for participating. At least I know that I'm not only speaking to a camera, but I'm speaking to you guys. All right. Buy, hold. Okay. Hold, a buy on strength. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right, fantastic. Now, I'm going to go on. Okay, I'm going to go on. Oh, check the FA. Wow. Okay, yeah. Like I said, this information is I will show you the FA later in a short while. All right. Buy once break the level. So some of you have techniques, some of you have strategies, some of you have information that you want to look at. Oh, fantastic. That's fine. That's very good. Okay. Buy again at 16.5. Okay, but what I can tell you is, right, so from earlier session, you look at the quarterly reports, is actually the financials are going up. All right. Not strong, but it's just going up slightly. Okay. I'm going to go on to the next chart. Okay, when price rebound 5%. Wow. Okay. Start by collecting slowly. William Lee says collect. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so the price has gone up. Okay, from 14.5, it's now going and it makes a new high, right? Going above 20 cents. It's now trading at 21.5 cents. So what would you do? Okay, Lionel says sell. Muhammad says buy. ST sell. Hold. Sell. Okay. Anyone else? Increase position. Wow. Okay. Great. Add more. Sell with flying colors. Sell home. Take profit. Okay. Write the trend. Hold. Continue to collect. Okay. Wait. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the response. Very, very good. I wanted to buy at 17. Okay. Let me read. So I want to buy at 17. Pass already. So 17. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's say you want to buy at 17 and you manage to buy at 17. You just put on your notes lah. All right. Because some of you say also when the price rebound 5%, you want to buy, right? From 14.5, so the price did go more than 4%. Then you would have bought lah. Okay, breakout. Okay, so again, this is the beauty about the stock market, right? We all make decisions to buy and sell. Everyone have their own opinions about whether you just look at technical analysis or price analysis, whether you look at fundamentals, or whether you look at economics, whether you look at financial data, right? There are many information that you can use lah. Continue to buy and average my price. So let's see what happens after this. Yeah. Now the price has pulled back again for 21.5 cents. It goes to 18 cents. Now bear in mind, the financials at this point of time, it is still okay. It doesn't have very strong growth, but it's just making it, the profits are growing. All right. Quarterly basis, it is still growing, but not as aggressive. All right. So the price has pulled back to 18 cents right now. Okay, what would you do? Check MOS and value, don't care about the chart. Look back 10 years later. Okay, so you are looking forward lah for this company, right? Buy and collect back. Average down. So you guys are very persistent. Some of you say sell, some of you say buy. It's okay, just write it down. Write it down as a journal where you make decisions for this particular exercise lah. Okay, I know that information may not be enough, but this is the information I'm just passing with you. All right. So remember, in 2016, the tech sector is still growing strongly. All right, but this is a Malaysian stock lah. Okay, so add on weakness. Okay, that's a strategy. If potential, can really buy in 50% portion hold. Okay, yeah, so that's your strategy. Just write it down. Okay. All right, I'm going to go on the next one. You can stop typing. Now let's see what happens after this. All right. It continues to make a new high. Here's from 18 cents. It went to now trading at 23 cents. So it continues to make a new high. So what would you do now? So of course, some of you may be long-term, right? You just want to buy and hold. Okay. Some of you may be trading the shares. Okay. May I know what the name of this stock? I will reveal this stock after we complete the exercise. All right. Because if you know the stock name, then you will know the results. Hold, sell 50%, sell half, cover capital. All right. Higher high, hold. All right. Okay. That's a nice Elliott wave. Okay. So some of you are into technical analysis. Why is SM track I cannot mention, I cannot say anything, right? I will only reveal this later. And please, if you don't, also don't say anything lah. We'll talk about this counter later on, right? Sell enough to collect back your capital, play on your paper profits. Okay, hold Fantastic. What about the rest? I hope that you actually write this down on paper, because this will be very, very important for you guys to actually gauge, right? How the price affect your emotions and how you make decisions. Higher high trend. Okay, hold. Okay, so not many sell, people are still holding. Fantastic. I'm going to go on. Okay, you can stop typing right now. After the next one, you can start typing again. Okay, I'm going to go slowly here because to just give you an effect, right? So the price has pulled back a little bit now at 21.5 cents. What would you do? Buy some more. Sell and run. Okay, that's what Tan Yip Ping says. Okay, you have to remember we are now in 2016, right? Hopefully you can still remember what happened in 2016 now. Wholesale, buy more. Okay. Sit on the fence, maintain hold. Sell if break support. So you know where your support level is. You may want to just write it down, right? Sell. Okay, buy. Okay. Okay, remember, fundamentally, the company is still doing quite well. All right. No changes in its fundamentals. And the thing about fundamentals is if the company provides quarterly reports, you get the updates quarterly, right? If it's only half yearly, you get half yearly, but definitely you get you'll get the annual reports. Okay, Iqbal says support at 21 cents. Sell 30% of balance 50%. Wow. Okay. Sell if break below support. So everyone have their own strategies. Very good, all right? Because in the stock market, you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. If not, then we'll be just following the rest of the other players in the market. Okay, now I'm going to move on. Let's see the next chart. What happened after this, right? Okay, so from that, I'm going to go forward. Okay, quite way forward lah. Okay, so if you look at this, it was trading, and I'm not sure whether you can see my arrow. So we did a simulation. Wait, hold on, I need to remove this panel. It's blocking my view. Okay, so if you still remember, it was in 2016, the peak was 21 cents, and then it rebounded, and then it made a new high here in July. It pulled back, and it continued to make a new high. And now it's trading at 51 cents. So those who buy and hold, fantastic. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the results, right? So we are in 2017 a little bit, and you get the reports normally about 2 months after the year end, right? So if you look at this, these are the earnings, all right? So you look at the turnover, the reason why you see quite a good run for this particular stock. In 2013, they did not make profits. There was a 5 million loss. But in 2014, there was a rebound, and that's the reason why you see the price actually gone up quite aggressively. And 2015, the price also went up. Not the price, revenue has gone up quite substantially, and therefore profit has gone up as well, right? 2016, at this particular time, you see that the revenue has gone down a little bit, but they have made better profits. All right, that means their cost of sales have gone down, or maybe the expenses have gone down, and therefore the margin, net profit margin, has gone up from 10 million to 27 million in 2016. Okay, and that's the reason why you see that run up. Okay, so the report is out, and the price is now trading at 51 cents. What do you do? Sell, hold. Just bear in mind that in that one, you look at from October, November, December, January, February, March. Okay, 5 months, the price has gone up from 20 cents averagely to 5. So it's gone up about 2.5 times. All right, price have gone up 2.5 times. Profit has gone up also right? Sell and hold something for trend riding. That means you sell some Continue to invest. Sell 90%, let the other profits run. Okay, you have some of you guys have strategies, right? Sell to cover the capital, let the rest of the holding generate profits. No buy, don't read eye. Okay, need to look at the company's guidance on future revenue, and that's one of the things that normally will not do, because even if you go to AGMs or whatsoever to get updates, one of the things that they don't do is projection on their financials, but they can only, of course, look at potential business growth right? Because that's a criteria. Yeah, fundamental is still okay, definitely, it's still okay. Okay, the question is, the price has already gone up from 19 cents to 51 cents. That's about 2.5 times. Wait for the next results. Okay, maybe not enough information, right? And this is what happening, right? Sometimes we see the price run up so much, but we do not know what's happening. And a lot of times when you know, the reports that come out quarterly and all that will basically just justify why the price moved, right? Parabolic already, it's crazy, right? Because the price before this, it wasn't moving that much, right? It was trading at 6 cents. It was a really small penny stock, and suddenly it's moving upwards. Okay, now I'm going to move on and see what happens after this. Yeah, now you see, when the price goes up, of course it corrects quite substantially as well. So 41 cents, it went to a low of 42 cents, and it's now trading at 43 cents. So question is, now the correction has happened, remember, and this is what a lot of times, not all the time, but after a research report comes in, although not research report, after the quarterly reports or annual reports come out, you see price will start to take a dive a little bit, right? Because I think in the markets, there's always this inefficiency. When the news comes out to the public, sometimes it's quite late, right? So from there, when the report was released, okay, you have seen the financials earlier, the prices came down and now 42 cents. So what do you do? Okay. This is 2017, right? Just 4 years ago. And remember, what is the driver, right? Okay, I will not go beyond 2020 because you all know what happened in 2020. Yeah, 2020, right? Because of the COVID thing. Buy at support and sell if break support at position. All right. Sell, hold. Okay. Okay, so write it down, even if you don't type it in, but you can write it down on the piece of paper. Okay, I'm going to go on. You can stop typing. I'll start. You can start again. Okay, buy when price at trend line. Yes, okay. You can draw trend lines on your chart, and then you want to buy when it goes down there. Yes, it's a technique that you can use. I'm just going to go on. So the price rebounded, okay? Sell if it's more than 2 standard deviations plus 2 standard deviations. So you're looking at Bollinger Bands, okay? So the price rebounded from 42 cents to 48 cents. What would you do? Would you wait? Would you sell? Would you hold? Or would you buy some more if you are still holding the share? Okay, Muhammad Aizuddin says hold, sell some. Okay, do keep the questions, do keep the answers coming. Some 50%, sell 50%, hold. All right, nice. Thank you so much, guys, for participating. Remember, please do jot this down on your trading journal, right? Okay, now I'm going to go on the next slide, see what happens after this, right? So 48 cents, 49 cents, and boom, the price just pulled back aggressively from 48, 49 cents. And remember, the fundamentals are still there. In fact, you will not get reports until the next quarter, right? So price has come down. Now, okay, from 44 cents, it go all the way down to 31 cents. What do you do? If you haven't sold earlier, or maybe you have a strategy that says if it goes below 38, 39 cents or 37 cents, you sell, you can make that decision. But now it's just gone down to 31 cents, all right? From 50 over cents to 31 cents, a 20 cents fall, that's 40% decline, all right? 40%. Good game, quit stock market. Run with profits. Fundamentals haven't changed, all right? Fundamentals haven't changed. It's just that the price now has pulled back. And 2018, right? And you know that a lot of market has peaked at 2018. There's a market correction. The KLCI is starting to come down, and the price came down. Okay, Rahim, if you have a trading plan, fantastic. You just stick to your trading plan. Okay. Anyone else? You can just type it in before I'm going to move on to the next one. Hold, no support. Wow. See, who is believe in the fundamentals that this stock can potentially go higher. All in, hold. Okay. Anyone else? If not, I'm going to move on to the next one. Buy some if below intrinsic value, and that's the challenge, right? How do you find intrinsic value? And in fact, how do you evaluate a company, right, and its share price? Sell lower, low. Okay, so that means if the price goes lower, you're going to sell. Okay, let's see what happens after this. You can stop typing right now. Let's see what happens after this, yeah? Okay, I'm going to stop this because if you look at this, this is what happens, right? So from that 31 cents, you go all the way to 4 ringgit, 60 cents. So now during that journey, right, there's ups and downs and ups and downs. So short term, there is volatility. For example, you look at 2020 here, you see a sharp fall from 2 ringgit and 40 cents. It went down to $1. That's like, you know, almost a 60% decline. Okay, and we all know 2020 was because of the COVID, right? The lockdowns. Okay, and but of course 2020 we see a rebound and the price make a new high and it continues to make a new high. Okay, so the reason why you do this exercise is because you know, it is very important to have a plan, right? Because if not, we're just making decisions based on your gut feeling, or maybe based on what people say, your friends say, or based on the analysts say, right? Without understanding the fundamentals. Okay, Inari. So Andrew says look like Inari. Well, not Inari now. Okay, so this will be the next AmPao. The one who can guess what counter it is will win the next AmPao. You can type it in the chat session. Just guess. Okay. Greatech, no, not Penta, not Unisem, not SM Track, not Inari, not Franken, not DNO, not Franken. Okay, Ernest, you got this. This is Dufu. Okay, Dufu Technology. I don't know whether you just guess or you remember. You have very good memory of the share price. Okay, this is Dufu. Okay, Dufu Technology. They are basically hard disk manufacturers lah. Okay, so our guys will contact with you. That will be the next AmPao. Okay, so the next AmPao is going to come in a short while. Okay, congratulations. Sorry, was it Andrew? Yeah, okay. So we'll get in touch with you on how you can get the RM10 top up. All right. Still holding Dufu. Okay, fantastic. Because again, so the price has came down, right, from 460 and now it's trading about 360. Okay, went out about 1 ringgit. So you're still holding. Okay, you believe in the fundamentals and the fundamentals has not changed. Okay. Now, so remember, this is a stock that started, right, about 4 or 5 years ago. It was a low penny stock below 10 cents, right? And it goes up all the way to 4 ringgit, 460 before now it pulls back and now trading at 361. And these are the particular stocks that we want to find, right? We call them hidden gems, or in this webinar, we call them hidden dragons. They are hidden, you need to find them. Okay, and imagine that 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, this company was not covered that much, right? Because it was tech sector just developing. But if you understand the business and its potential, you're able to write very strongly. Okay, so imagine if you bought just about 3-4 years ago when the price was trading at 20 cents. It has gone up 20 times. Okay, so if you guys say that Malaysia has no opportunity to invest in, think further. All right, there are potential of investment in the Malaysian stock market, and we have the volatility for traders as well. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example, but let me wrap up today's session. So the important thing is this, right? If you go in and invest without having a plan or a strategy, then you are basically going to the stock market to lose money. Okay, because the biggest risk is in investing is basically losing money. Everyone agree? We all do not want to lose money in the stock market. Okay, we can't go in with a gambling mentality. You need to have a plan. So in any businesses, we need to have a plan, even in war, okay, even in politics, even in whatever we need to have a strategy, right? So this is a very old saying, right? He who fails to plan is planning to fail. Okay, so the question is, do you have a plan, or do you have a trading strategy or investment strategy? That's very important. From the conversations, I see some of you may already have your strategy. If it continues to make money, fantastic, just continue to follow that strategy. If you have a plan or strategy, but it's not working, maybe you need to find other ways to improve your trading plan or strategy. All right. And that's what we actually want. So every investor and trader needs to have a good investing strategy or plan, and also a good trading plan. All right. Now, no point learning from me, because we all learn from the best, right? And everyone knows Warren Buffett, right? Okay, and of course, Warren Buffett also learns from someone else. His sifu is Benjamin Graham, all right? So what is being taught by Ben Graham actually forms the foundation of Warren Buffett's investment philosophy. Okay, you can also use this for trading. It's a timeless advice. All right. So if you know Warren Buffett very closely, you know that this is a very important statement for people who invest or use value investing. All right. Price is what you pay, and value is what you get. All right. So for investors who follows Warren Buffett, okay, they are called value investors because when they pay a price of a particular stock, make sure that the value is higher. All right, even right now. So I want to buy a stock that has good value, but prices are trading below its value. That's one. Okay. But what I want to point out as well, okay, here he says that I like buying quality merchandise when it's marked down, when there's a sales, right? For example, like some of you mentioned, if you look at Dofu, fundamentals are strong, the way it's managed is being strong, the business is still solid. As long as it's still solid, as long as you can still see growth, but there are times when the price goes into a sale. All right, it's very important because we do not want to buy any counters that goes down on a sale. Okay, the important part is here is what? Quality merchandise, quality companies. If they go on sale, then you can do it. If you get a not so good quality company that's prices going down, then you may not want to buy that price when it's going down on a sale. Okay. So whatever strategy that you have, right, as long as it's making money, make sure that we continue to follow that plan. Now, there are two things that I bring out here. Okay, price and value. Okay, this is what I saw. What Ben Graham says, right? Price is what you pay, and price is what we normally see in our screen, right? Price goes up, it goes down. Like what we did the exercise earlier is basically price. Okay, and price is affected by many factors, lah. Okay, so although we know companies are good, like for example, Dofu that I mentioned to you, but price can still fluctuate up and down. Why? Now, if you remember, we asked the first question earlier. Everybody have their own opinion towards the market, towards the stock, towards the company. And that's what makes market interesting, all right? But the price will slowly basically go back to its value. Okay? It will discover itself back. It's just that in short term, there will be noises because of the different of opinions, right? And everyone has a different objective when it comes to investing or trading. There are long-term investors, there are short-term investors, short-term traders, and so on and so forth. Right? And that's what makes the market volatile. Okay, but two things that are important to analyze here, right? Number one is price. Number two is value. How do you determine price? Whether the price is above its value or below its value. Okay, so when we look deeper, there are two analyses that we can do here, right? Now we cannot base value on on tips lah, on rumors, or on conversation or gut feel. You can't. You need to work on the data, right? So when we want to work on data, there are only two ways you can do an analysis on price and value. Okay, so you know, look at value, we do fundamental analysis. Okay, because the financials of the company will tell you the value of the company. Okay, you can see, and it's reported every quarter, you can see their performance financially, but that's quantitative analysis, right? You probably also need to do a little bit of qualitative. You need to also know who runs the company. All right, that's very important as well. So when you have fundamental analysis, that's one, that's to find the value of the company. Second part is we also need to understand the market behavior, and that can be done by looking at price analysis or technical analysis. Okay, so when you have both combined, you have a very strong analytical tool to develop your strategy. All right, whether you want to trade short term or whether you want to be a long-term investor, these are basically the two tools, the only two tools that are data driven, not emotional driven, not market driven, not hearsay, not news, nothing but data driven. And the thing about data is they can't be changed, right? They are facts and figures. So we make the analysis so that hopefully we are able to develop that strategy. So this is where the good news comes in, right? Because if you do not have a strategy, or if you already have a strategy but you want to improve it, this is one way you can do it. All right. So we have this course called Stock Investing 101, where we combine both fundamental and technical analysis, and we are working with AmInvest to come up with a special package only for you guys. All right, only for you guys. So I'm just going to mention what is this all about. All right. Now, so we're going to learn about Stock Investing 101. Okay, this is a collaboration between Am Equities and also Equities Tracker. All right. So what you'll be getting in this package is 352 minutes. That's about 6 hours of e-learning videos for you to have an access for 6 months. That means if you don't understand, you can replay the video, you can replay and replay and replay until you understand. Okay. It's you have a 6 months access for you to learn. And what's in the content is basically you learn about the fundamentals of investing, what's in value and investing, how do you look at some of the financial financial information on a financial statement, and at the end the objective is how you can size up the company, how you can value the company by looking at this information. Okay, that's one. Okay, the other session is going to be on technical analysis. All right, so you learn about technical analysis, you learn about price, and you learn about market behavior, why price move this way, and what indicators you can use, all right, to make better decisions. So it's basically a online e-learning video that covers both fundamental analysis and technical analysis. Okay, and that after that whole 352 minutes of videos, we should be able to come up with a strategy. Now, apart from that, okay, because after going through the videos, you may also need some questions that need to be answered. So what's going to happen is on March, all right, the 2 days right there, once you click the link later, I'll give it to you, you will have more details over there, right? So somewhere in early March, I think the 2nd and 3rd of March, we're going to be online, because the person who's going to provide that content is basically myself. I will be covering the technical analysis part. Okay, Alvin, also from Equities Tracker, he will be covering the fundamental analysis part. So the videos will be based on that. And if you are interested, you better go through the videos first, so that when we meet in March, you can ask those questions. All right, so there'll be 2 sessions going to go on for this particular purpose. About 1.5 hours per session. So there'll be 2 days where you meet Alvin, and then the next day you'll be meeting me to talk about what we have learned. All right. So this is basically like hand holding, okay, because we do need to have certain interaction so that you get your skills or the knowledge imparted better. All right. So this course is only 188 only. All right. And normally we'll charge this outside. It's going to cost you about at least 2,000 ringgit, okay, for you to have access for 6 hours of videos plus a live session with Alvin and myself. All right. It's only 188 ringgit. Okay. And this is a special deal for AmInvest clients, only for AmInvest clients. All right. So if you're not a client, just email the email that we have sent earlier. Maybe my colleague can put it in once again so that you can contact them and be a client. All right, only if you're a client. Okay, so what you can do is and the only thing is there's only 100 seats available for this particular purpose. Okay, so for the first 100 who sign up, then only you are able to get this price. All right, 188 ringgit only for 100 Am Equities clients. I keep on saying AmInvest. I apologize because that was what it was earlier, right? Now it's Am Equities. So only 100 seats. So this is your link. You can use your phone to do a code scan. This is basically to indicate that you're interested, because AmInvest will later select the 100, the first 100. Okay, and you will get confirmation letters and how you make payments and all that from them later on. All right. So our colleague will also put in the link there, so that you can also type in. If you're on the phone, you can also type it in there. All right. So click on the link. Even if you haven't decided yet, you click on the link so that you get more information there. If you need more information, you can also click on the link so that it will give you more information. And remember, this is only a one-time opportunity, only for 100 packs. All right, only for 100 people. And please do click on that link. Okay, so I hope that after the session today, especially for those who do not have a trading plan or trading strategy, please go through the Stock Investing 101 course, because this is only available for you guys at this special rate. All right. Okay, any questions before I move on to the next session, where we're going to have Master Jessie Lee? Are there any questions before I move on? You want to ask questions about the course, or you want to ask questions about anything? If there's no question, I'm going to move on. Please type in on the Q&A chat box, right? Q&A. Okay, I hope you guys are busy registering for the Stock Investing 101 course, because it's a little bit quiet here. If you have any questions, you can just type it in. All right. Munchong is asking, what's next, Dufu? Canceling. Yeah, all these are strategies you can develop. Okay, so please, if you have not attended the course, 100 ringgit 88 investment that you can do to improve your investing and knowledge skills. All right, and remember, this is only a special offer from AmInvest clients. Okay, now next, Ang Pao, before we bring our next guest that I think a lot of you have been waiting for as well, we're going to have Master Jessie Lee in a short while. Okay, but before we gather in, this will be the next Ang Pao that we're going to give out. Okay, and this is a very simple one. Again, a very simple one. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to quote Warren Buffett. Okay, you have to finish the sentence. Price is what you pay and value is what you ... Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Let me see if I get the winner right. So we have Lau. Okay, so congratulations, Lau. Fantastic. Now, we still got another 2 more giveaways, right? And also, I think this will be more valuable than that touch and go, because Master Jessie Lee is going to give you guys a treat. All right. Plot your PASI charts. Okay, I don't know whether I pronounce it correctly or not. But later on, as you go through the presentation, her presentation, we'll put in the comments and all that and so on. All right. So the link is already up there. You can click on it, and then later, Master Jessie will basically share with you how to use that lah. All right. Okay, without further ado, let me just introduce Master Jessie Lee first before we bring her online to do her presentation, And remember, if you have any questions, please type in the Q&A box. All right, not the chat session, but the Q&A box for Master Jessie Lee. So Jessie has over 20 years of many different experiences. Is now quite a independent household name in Chinese metaphysics. Again, in other words, like feng shui. I'm not really into feng shui, but I'm not sure whether feng shui is actually metaphysics. But basically, that's maybe the English word lah. Okay, so she has a very, very comprehensive list of A-list clientele, including high-profile entrepreneurs and also top management of global brands, celebrities, royalties, and even politicians from both local and international scene. All right. So this time we have invited Jessie as a very special guest, right, to our biggest online AmInvest Market Outlook 2022. To close this session will be her presentation as well. And she will give us some insight on how to successfully navigate the year of the Yang Water Tiger. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Master Jessie Lee.
Thank you so much, Benny. Thank you so much. Good morning to all of you. All right, thank you for having me, first of all. Okay, so I have 1 hour to finish out all my content. So first of all, let me just bring out my slides over here. So ensure that everyone can hear me. Hopefully all of you can hear me clearly. And you can see the slides on the screen, okay? If there's any chance that you are not seeing the slides on the screen, do let me know in the chat, okay? Now, first of all, I know many of you here, investors, okay, or investors to be, you're experts into this particular investing market, but why on earth suddenly it's like Chinese metaphysics, feng shui, comes into the scene, okay? I'm sure a lot of people, okay, when we talk about feng shui, I'm sure even up to now, a lot of people are still very skeptical about this topic. So I'm very, very blessed, okay, today that this particular event itself, okay, AmFocus, somehow, okay, I have the privilege to share with all of you what exactly is Chinese metaphysics and how it can actually help us to navigate our life, okay, where this particular tool has been in existence, okay, since at least 5,000 years of history. I'm sure that when something, okay, existed with a history of 5,000 years, there is something about it, okay? If it's practiced in the right way, we can definitely benefit from it. But first of all, let us have a look at what can Chinese metaphysics do for us in terms of our navigating of our destiny, maximizing our potential. All right, so now, every time when we talk about metaphysics, okay, we always, in a way, revisit this particular topic called the cosmic trinity. First of all, you need to understand, especially for Chinese, if those of you are Chinese here, you have heard that we often say about 天時地利人和, or heaven, human, or earth. Now, in English, probably you have heard people say as in like doing the right thing at the right time with the right people. All right, and that is the fundamental of all Chinese metaphysics, because we understand that at the end of the day, our destiny is comprises of 3 components, at least, okay? The components of heaven, the components of earth, and also humans' actions or strategies. Now, what heaven here, or 天时 here, talks about, okay, in Chinese metaphysics, we talk about 八字, which is the ones that all of us have on the day and time that we were born, okay, with those years, month, day, and time, we have a certain, what we call, is like, you know, our chart, our birth chart. It's something like our, what we call is like our birth certificate, but that is based on Chinese astrology. So the heaven stuck here talk about 八字, which is also, okay, what we call the 8 characters of destiny, right? And we also have the tools we call date selection. Date selection means that, okay, there's certain time for a certain thing, okay? Everything happens at its moment. We just need to identify, okay, right, those moments itself and how to strategize our life based on those particular moments. And these moments we're talking about is all governed by heaven. It means that it's all about planetary alignment. It's about the sun, the position of the moon, the positions of all the planets in our solar systems, and also the constellations in the universe. Because whether you believe it or not, okay, the positioning of the moon example, it is going to impact, okay, on the water level on Earth, or whether it is high tide or low tides, okay, the moon itself has its impact. Now you think about, okay, all the rest of the planets, you talk about Jupiter, we talk about Mars, Venus, okay, or Saturn, okay, all these planets itself, which is huge, right? And its impact of energy is definitely going to impact the energy on Earth. whether or not we are aware of it. And that particular part, we're talking about the heavens part. The alignment of the planets is going to impact us energetically as human on Earth, okay? And this part, we call it fated. So whatever that's fated in our life is only 1/3 of the equation, only 1/3. The rest of the 2/3 depends on the Earth, the environment, and this is where feng shui comes in. When I talk about feng shui, I'm not talking about it's like what best colors or what lucky colors we need to be dressed on every year. We are not talking about like the three-legged toads or the Pichot or of this weird animal, okay, that we have the statues and put in our office or at home that's going to change our life. It's not about that. Now, feng shui is about harnessing into the energy of the environment, right? Every year, the transitional of the energy changes due to Chinese astrology, in a way, research. So every year itself, we know there's certain energy that will surge and there's certain energy will also be weakened. So the purpose of this annual talk is to identify what energy will surge in that year, how is it going to impact us so that we can plan the best action, the best decision, and also the best strategy in order for us to prepare ourselves. So when we know all these three components and we can manage it, that is how we say we master our own destiny. And of course, the next chart here, okay, I want to share with you also the difference between fate versus destiny. Now, a lot of people who are still very skeptical about Chinese astrology, a lot of people in a way, right, you know, when they hear about feng shui, okay, they're very skeptics. They feel that, oh, this is something that is like totally BS, okay? I know about it and I'm aware about it, okay? But the thing is, there are also another group of people, okay, who are living in what we call a superstitious state. These are the people who are paranoid. These are the people who ask everything, feng shui practitioners, okay? Oh, can I change house? Can I buy this stock? Or can I actually invest in this particular business? Can I start a business on my own? Is he the right or is she the right one for me? Now, these are the people who are superstitious. They are living in a paranoia moment, okay? They need somehow people to make decisions for them. And that is not the purpose of Chinese astrology, where our purpose is we want to find that middle path, that balancing between the yin and yang, the balancing factor between, okay, the black and the white, because we believe that in the middle path itself, when we understand what's going on around us, what's going on above us, we can now make wise and rational choices to navigate our life. So first of all, now take a look at 2022, which is in Chinese astrology, we term it as a water tiger year. Now, every year itself, I will say, okay, because due to the symbol of yin and yang, which is the fundamental studies of all Chinese metaphysics, including Chinese medicine, which is part of the 5 arts in terms of Chinese metaphysics, okay? It always talks about yin and yang. It's a balancing of the factor. So if we understand that fundamental, it means that every year, no matter how great is the economy, no matter how bad is the economy, there are still people who can actually emerge, okay, as someone who is successful. There are still people who can actually, in a way, all right, achieve success in it. So the difference is, of course, comes to our personal choices. What do we actually want or focus on in that particular year? Right, example, this year is a water tiger year. It's a tiger year. Of course, we can choose to be any of these tigers. Okay, I'm not sure any of you here, okay? Example of all these 3 photos here that I'm sharing with you. Which tiger do you want to see yourself in 2022? By the end of this year itself, where would you see yourself? Is it picture A over here? Is the top picture? Or is the bottom picture over here? Is this what we want to see ourselves? Or some of us probably, we want to see ourselves like this, okay? We want to actually have our own rules. We want to have the freedom, okay? And to take control and responsibilities in life. And that makes a difference, okay? So first of all, we need to know what we want in the first place. And then the second thing, okay, after knowing what we want, either we want to just make it like just another year, just let it goes by, go with the flow, whatever fated is fated. If that is our focus and that is what we want, okay, we will just go with the flow. If the flow says that majority of the people will be in a way suffering in 2022, example, if majority of the people sees that the market will be affected in 2022, example, we will be part of it. But of course, the difference using Chinese astrology is we do not want to follow the flow. We want awareness. We want to know and understand what is the flow so that we can strategize, so that we can actually emerge on top of the flow. We don't have to follow it. If people somehow are affected by the energy, we have our consciousness, we have our awareness to, and in a way, bring us at the top of our game. And by doing so, we have to look into the chart of the year. When I talk about the chart of the year, it means that every year itself, when we talk about the outlook of 2022, there is a reference point that we have to look into. And this reference point is on the day that we transit officially into the water tiger year. And it always comes based on the solar movement, the movement or alignment of the sun. It always comes during the coming of spring, or in Chinese, we call Lap Chun. Now, traditionally, you see a lot of people during these days, they will be asking practitioners, all right, when is the best time for me to bank in money into the bank? Okay, so up to now, there's still a lot of people practicing this, even in Singapore, okay, like such an advanced countries, and yet people are still asking, what's the best timing for which animal sign to bank into the bank account? Now, for me, I do not encourage such a practice, all right? Imagine it's like the money in your pocket and now you put it into a bank account. It's the same, okay? It doesn't make a difference, okay? That is what I say. People are living in paranoia and in denial. So to me, it's like, what can we do and benefit out of this particular date itself when it officially transits into the new year? So we plot out the chart, and this is what we call a barter chart of the year. Means this year, officially based on the solar movement, okay, and positioning, right? It transits into the new year at 4:51 a.m., February 4th, 2022. And on that day itself, we plotted out this chart, and based on Chinese astrology, we studied this chart based on the energy level and also the impact of the 5 elements. All right. So when we study this, then we know how to strategize for the year. We can expect what 2022 is going to be about. Okay. Because overall, you see is that, oh, tiger year. But what tiger is all about? Tiger year is not necessarily will be aggressive. Okay. It's like, no, people say, oh, tiger just because it's like aggressive, it's a carnivore, that is will be aggressive. Not necessarily. So when we plotted out this chart, we look into the elements. And for those of you, even if you do not know Chinese metaphysics, you can look at the colors of the elements, right? All green colors here represents wood element, all right? We only have 5 elements. And of course, all the blue color here represents water, right? And then of course, you see the yellow color here represents earth. Now we have fire elements, which is written here, small, tiny little red element over here, which is hidden, right? That is the fire element. And overall, we have a white color element, which is metal. Altogether, there are these 5 particular elements, okay, in terms of metaphysics. So now take a look, okay, how we summarize this particular chart. And we put it into a pictorial form. Now imagine now I put it all Chinese here, okay? All of you will be like, what the heck is she talking about? But now if I translate it into an image, okay? Because in Chinese metaphysics, we have all this element that represents natural environment. Of course, water represents water. Wood here represents thunder, okay? Because in Chinese astrology, those of you who understands I Ching, okay? So all wood element here or yang wood here represents the Bagua element of thunder, lightning, all right? So if we translate this particular chart into a pictorial form, okay, what would it look like so that it's easier for us to understand, okay? So the pictorial image of 2022, okay, this is the image. So we can imagine 4:51 a.m., okay, early in the morning, it's still very dark, okay? The image is, of course, is like thunderstormy, okay? Lightning, okay, is happening, like zapping around, okay? And you know that lightning don't actually happens, okay, every moment. It gives us a shock, okay? It comes and then it actually settles down. And then after that, it actually strikes again. So overall, this is the image of 2022, okay? So when you look at this image and also the elemental value of the 5 elements, now we categorize 2022, okay, in this particular form. So out of the 5 elements, when we study into it, the strongest element is wood. Secondary strongest element is water. The third will be fire. And you see that the whole chart itself is very off balance. It is not balancing at all, okay? It's very off balance where water and also wood, okay, in a way taken most, okay, of the chart. And then you see that the fire element becomes very weak. It's hidden inside, okay? There's 1 earth element and there is none metal element, totally 0 metal element. So what does this mean, okay, in terms of its influence of the year? So now we have to dissect each energy level of these elements. Now, first of all, take a look at wood element, all right? Now, wood element, first of all, in terms of Chinese astrology, the energetic form of wood element, it represents growth, expansion, okay? So imagine plants, trees, okay? all the plants and plantations that we have, okay, it grows and expands. So that is the strongest element of 2022. That in a way takes almost half of the chart. So you see that this is a year of massive growth, okay, and expansion. So a lot of things are changing because every moment we see growth, okay, if we want to grow ourselves, if we want to have our six packs or even grow our muscles, okay, we have to make changes. We have to tear apart, okay, right, the old muscles, okay, and let it reform, let it heal so that the new muscles itself will be stronger. So when it comes to wood element here, you see that growth and expansion is actually in a way governing the energy, okay, of the environment in 2022. And the emotions governed by wood element, okay. Now emotions, there's always two sides of the coin. There's always yin and yang, all right. The positive emotions, it represents enthusiasm, elevations, inspiration, anything that grows us, that makes us better. And of course, the negative side of the emotion represents anger, suppressed stress, right? What do you mean by positive and negative? Because we have a choice. Remember, the three components, heaven, earth, and man. Every human have a choice to look at the glass, whether it is half full or half empty, all right? So those choices in a way affect most, okay, by our mental, okay, in a way, mental matureness. It also depends on our level of wisdom, okay, how we see things is going to impact us of how we feel throughout the year. So for people who are ready, okay, for people who are optimistic, for people who are see through things calmly, right, these are the people will be affected with a lot of enthusiasm. They are excited about the year, okay, because they see this year as 2022 going to be is a year of growth and expansion. There's a lot of opportunities going on. But for people, okay, who somehow likes to victimize themselves, who give up responsibilities into their own life, who likes to rely on other and follow through what generally the public will do, these are the people will now be affected by the wood element of emotions, that is anger or suppressed stress. So overall, you see that, okay, this year itself, there are more people, chances is, okay, without the awareness, they will be easily frustrated. There will be a lot of suppressed stress going on, okay? And then, of course, the industry related. Now, I always goes against, okay, when people ask me as in, oh, what is the best industry? Since that wood is the strongest element, does it mean that every industry that represents by the wood element, okay, will be, right, okay, blooming or will be doing great? Now, I often likes to actually, in a way, begs to differ when it comes to that. Now, I know someone is asking me to go slow, okay, right? Because I only have 1 hour to give all the information I have, okay, right? Okay, I will try to go slower because I have so much to share over here, all right? So the thing is, okay, now wood element here, okay, the industries that's related is any industries that relates to growth, like farming, right? From nothing, you grow something out of it, building, development, educating, okay? These are the industries all about growing the next generation, growing new things, because wood is relating to creativity. From nothing, you grow something out of it. Just a barren land, and the next moment you see like the crops coming out, their grass, their trees, all popping out from it. So wood element represents that. But I do not agree, okay, every year since this is the strongest element, every industries, example here, okay, relating to wood will be agriculture, education, fashion, okay, plantation, okay, publications. Doesn't mean that all these industries will do well, all right? Okay, thank you, okay, to organizers. I can go over time. Thank you for that. All right, then I can go slightly slower. So you see that wood element here, okay, it's all about growth, but doesn't mean every industries under this particular example of wood will do well in 2022. So what makes the difference? The difference is, okay, the strategy of the company. It means that the companies that constantly, okay, researching, the company that's constantly growing, that has a lot of new creations, new creativity, these are the companies that will do well in 2022. Okay, example, if you're going into investments or the growth stocks, okay? I'm not saying that every growth stocks, okay, will also in a way excel in 2022, but generally, you know that this is the part, okay, where it's concerning, of course, anything to do with like, IT, technologies, okay, software, anything to do with like, all this, either the hardware or the software. This is something that has this highest potential of growth in 2022, okay? So somehow, if those of you who are growth investors, you know that wood element has its highest potential. But don't forget that the emotions that is in a way affecting the public is going to affect the stock market as well. And first of all, you know that this year, there are two elements that is going to greatly affect the emotions of the public. First of all is wood, which is anger and suppressed stress. Take a look at the secondary emotion, which is also equally strong in this particular year. That is water. Now, water, we're talking about energy that is wavy, fluctuating, uncertain, that's constantly moving. That's why you look at water itself is one of the elements out of the 5 elements that you see that the energy is constantly moving, constantly fluctuating, and in a way, right, somehow you cannot step into the same river twice, like people put it that way, all right? So whatever that is affected or governed by water, okay, which now relates to the emotion. On the positive side, eagerness, love, okay, that is water, okay? Where else, okay, if you look at the negative side, that's going to govern most of the people, okay, in the population this year itself is fear and lust, that desire, because water represents lust, water represents fear. So now you can combine these two major impact of the emotions of the year, where a lot of people will be stressed up, a lot of people are living in fear, okay, where also there are people also affected by desire, of greed, okay, of unwavering sort of like emotions, sometimes high, sometimes down, okay, sometimes very eager, sometimes feel very setback. So that is the general emotions of the year. And you know that the market somehow, okay, it is also highly affected by emotions, okay? The more fear we have in the market, the higher risk there will be in the stock market, okay? So when we look at water now, industries, okay, since water represents fluctuating, wavy, all right, what are the industries that's related to it? Anything that is fast moving, flowing, changes, okay? Any industries that is rapidly changing. Example, logistic, tourism, casino, cleansing, healing. But yes, tourism itself is part of water, as I mentioned, cannot be all industries, okay? These are only examples, right? Cannot be all industries, okay, under water element will be doing great in 2022. It just doesn't make sense. But we know that, okay, some of the industries who are going through rapid changes, fast moving, who is aggressive, okay, right? But examples like logistic over here, okay, like how Dr. Anthony have put it earlier on. Let's, in a way, categorize it into different in a way, sectors rather than just overall lump it, okay? Logistics example, when it comes to shipping and all that, this year itself, you will still see the potential growth because this is the strongest or one of the strongest element, especially any industries that's fast moving. Example, the stock market will be busy for 2022 because stock market is something that's fluctuating. There's water element. It goes up one moment and the next moment it goes down. Okay, it's keep on like a wave. Okay, fluctuating high and low. Now, if you talk about cryptocurrency, that is also part of water element, and you know that this is like the hot things in 2022. People will be interested in it due to what? Some of them due to lust, desire, greed, or fear of missing out. People will somehow jump into the market without, in a way, understanding even how these things work. So therefore, when we look deeper into overall analysis of the year, then we see what are the do's and don'ts of 2022. What are the things that we have to be aware of? That's coming up next. All right. Next one, we come to look into the third element, which is the third strongest element. And this is relatively weak, okay, because just now we see that majority of the elements are governed by wood, okay, followed by water. Now, the fire elements is weak, okay? Fire onwards in the chart itself for the year is weak. Now, take a look at what fire represents. Now, fire here represents warmth, heat, okay? Positive emotions, it represents joy, passion, and hope. And overall, you know that this year's itself, this is a lacking element. It is weak comparatively to the strong wood and water. So you see that on the negative side, okay, fire here represents greed and hopelessness. Right, so therefore, you know, again, okay, somehow people are losing hope, but yet people generally are greedy, okay? They have this fear of missing out. They want more. Now, industries related to it is any related industries relating to technology, heat, okay, and light, okay, beauty and enhancement technology, entertainment. Right, that is all part of fire. Now, this is on the average cycle. It means that it is not the worst element, but it's not at the strongest point yet. Now, when we talk about stocks, okay, now if you talk about cyclical stocks, people who in a way invest on like dividend, okay, people who actually in a way invest on income stocks, okay, so these are the stocks somehow it stands at a very neutral point because it's a middle path, okay, and this is the stock where you know that eventually it will catch up. But probably it's just not this year yet, okay? So if you see or if you study any of the stocks, which is in a way now, okay, faring at below market value, you know that these stocks will come back because fire element is like, imagine the sun, okay? The sun is cyclical, right? The sun rise, the sun sets, and it will come back on again. It's just depending on the timing. But somehow you know that this particular timing itself is neutral. It is not in a way at the highest potential of rise. But nevertheless, this particular element itself is neutral, but it's not the weakest. It doesn't go down. So if we are looking into long-term investment, you know that eventually this particular area, it will comes back out again. So this year, generally, if you're thinking about researching more about what are the cyclical stocks that you can in a way look into, okay, this will be a good year for you to look into it, okay, but you might not see immediate result. This is a long-term thing because you need to wait for the cycle to come back up again. And when we study in terms of Chinese astrology, okay, the next cycle of the fire will emerge back to the top, will start on 2024 up to 2026, which is at its peak. So if you're thinking about cyclical stock, like going to investments, you know that you can start in a way researching into it, investing into it, and hold on up to 2024 at least, all the way up to 2026, where we see another peak, okay, in terms of this particular stocks. All right, so example of oil and gas, marketing and branding, consultancy and all that. Now, all these examples is just to tell us that, okay, this year, more and more people are into education. Wood is about growth. It means that one of the strategic planning, if you're a business owner, if you're doing a business on your own, you know that people, wood represents education. People want knowledge. People are hunger for education. People want to learn more. That is wood. And then you know that fire is weak this year, okay? It means that people sees more hopelessness. People are in the dark. So therefore, when people are in the dark, people want more hope. People want more fun. Therefore, it's like entertainment and all that is also part of fire. So generally, okay, this year when people are like, living in like you're in a tunnel, people want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So let's say if we are strategizing our business, okay, in a point where we emphasize on education, we emphasize on a lot of creations and growth, and we also emphasize on a lot of consultancy, branding, marketing, bringing, okay, this, whatever that we are having, the services or the products that we have, we bring it out to the market so that more people can actually seize it. This will help us in terms of the strategic planning of a business growth as well, by just understanding this particular energy flow of the year. Now, take a look at the two weakest elements in the chart, okay? Now, after fire itself, you look at earth. Now, earth is actually one of the weakest elements. It is so weak because all the wood here, okay, somehow further weakens the earth. The earth becomes like, so weak that this year we need to understand what does earth actually represents. Now, energy form of earth here represents something that is dense, that's still. Earth is the only non-moving element out of the 5 elements. You see, water is constantly moving. Fire is rapidly, in a way, burning, okay? Wood is constantly growing. But earth here is the only one that stands still, okay? The only one that is not moving. So earth element here that represents this particular energy form, okay, which is so weak. Now you see that the emotions, that is so weak means it's non-present. What is non-present this particular year itself, okay? On the positive side, earth represents the feeling of security, the feeling of safety. Because in the olden days, you see, people feel safe, okay? Or people feel safest when they have their precious belongings or their treasures buried in earth, okay? So they keep it as a safe deposit before the safe deposits in the banks and all that comes in, okay? So earth is something to make us feel safe and secure, and it's also relating to trust. So overall, we know that this year, since earth is the weakest, we know that this feeling of safety, security, and trust will also be the weakest of the year. Means the weakest element of the year. Means more people will be worried, more people will be vulnerable, in fact, up to the extent that they feel victimized. They start blaming, okay, right? They're blaming the government, they blame the banks, okay, they blame everything, okay, except themselves without realizing it. So overall, this is what's going to impact on people. Now, industries that's relating to earth, right? Safety, stability, collection, accumulation, anything that helps people to store things, long-term thing. Now, if you talk about REIT, or if you talk about real estate here, okay? So earth element, which is the weakest. So if you see it's like highest potential growth, I don't see it from the energy of the year, okay? But again, I like it when Dr. Anthony actually mentioned, we cannot in a way categorize everything in the whole entire sector, okay, under the element, because in the concept of yin and yang, as you can see, the symbol of yin and yang, when there's the yang part, means the white has a dash of black and the black part have a dash of white in it. It means that there are things hidden, okay, in the yang, and there is something hidden in the yin. Means no matter generally, no matter how bad a certain sector is, there are still some hidden gems, okay? Just like how Benny have put it, and the purpose of this particular topic and sharing the hidden dragons. So if you look at earth itself, yes, it is slow moving. In fact, it is not really moving. So overall, okay, property, real estate is slow. But again, okay, out of the whole sector of real estate and property, cannot be every part of it is slow and non-moving. There are definitely some part of it you will see progress. There will definitely be some part of it, okay, that you will see that the price will also rise, okay? So this is a part of earth where, okay, you see that it is so weak. That's why this year itself, if you're looking into immediate returns of like dividends and all that, the dividend stocks, okay, income stocks itself, this year itself, you will see a weakness going on. It means that it will actually, in a way, goes lower than expectations because the earth element this year is weak. And why is it in a way affected in such a way? Then we look into the last element of the 5 elements. And the last elements here is metal. It's totally non-existing in the chart, 0 metal. So what does this translate? Now, energy form of metal here is about hard and challenging. Imagine all your weapons, your axe, okay, your Excaliburs, okay, your weapons, okay, all this made out of metal are supposed to do the hard and challenging job. It is supposed to ease us, okay, to take control of our life. So therefore, the emotions that govern by metal element is about courage. Is about control, right? How to take control of certain things, that's metal element. And of course, the negative emotions, again, which is grief and also sadness. And this year itself, since that it is a non-existing element in the chart, it means that more and more people will start to lose what? To lose control. More and more people will start to lose courage, especially when water represents fear is so strong. So people somehow lose control in their life. And of course, control here also represents discipline. So you see that this year itself, more and more people will be in a way affected by fear. More and more people will be affected by anger and frustration, and therefore also losing control of themselves, losing control of their emotions, losing control of their actions. So metal here, which is non-existing, okay, represents that losing control. So overall, industries that's related to metal, management, okay, any industries that help people to take control of things, okay, enforcement of things. Example, okay, you can talk about military, okay, we talk about legal and finance, banking, and all these things is under metal. But one of the things you see, overall, if you look at the general public, okay, right, metal of losing control, right? If you compare, it's like people are losing control. What does it mean? It means that there are certain rules and regulations, okay, that come up this year, or certain things that will happen this year where majority of the public will feel that we are lost control. There's not much thing that we can do about it. We feel in a way suppressed, we feel angered over it at times, okay? An example, inflation. Inflation is not what single individual like you and me can control. In fact, it is something of the highest enforcement people can decide. So when this is decided, majority of the people will lose control in it. So you know that this is the weakest element. It means that the chances of people losing control, okay, will be very, very high, okay? It means that inflations this year will also be very, very high. But let's say, example, if with inflation rise up, okay, interest rate is also something that has a very high potential of rising based on the energy study. Because when interest rate in a way rise, it is not something that you or I can in a way decide on it. We can't control, we just have to oblige, okay? And in a way affected by the consequences. So we know that when metal element is so weak here, the chances of people losing control is high. But how can we see this as a personal reminder for investors? So investors, remember this year, if we are lacking of emotional discipline, we are lacking of discipline and we get emotional. If we are in a way overtaken by greed, at the same time, fear of missing out, we will have in a way, okay, issues or in a way like misjudgment happening for this year itself, okay, especially when it comes to investors, because we try to put all this information into a summary. Now, once we understand this, the next thing is we want to look deeper into the year by understanding the hexagram. Of course, hexagram is what we call the I Ching. Now, one of the oldest tool of Chinese metaphysics is I Ching, okay, whatever, okay, if you have heard about it. And I Ching or I Ching has a history of at least 5,000 years. So every year we translate, okay, the yearly chart into an hexagram. And this year's hexagram itself, okay, right, when we translate it, when water is the strongest, where thunder, okay, is underneath. So it comes to a water thunder hexagram. I know many of you here will be like, what the heck is she talking about? So don't bother about this. Even if you know Chinese, you won't understand this. Later, I will in a way summarize everything for you. Now, overall, you need to understand water here in terms of trigram or Chinese metaphysics, okay, it is kan gua. Okay? We have the 8 bagua or the trigrams, and kan gua here, okay, represents danger. And of course, thunder here represents by zhen gua, okay, and zhen gua here represents shock. So overall, you know that this year, right, the overwhelming, okay, things that is going to happen every now and then, this year itself, okay, it is a lot of risk, a lot of danger ongoing, okay, there are hidden risks going on throughout the year. There are also shocking things, okay, right? Things that is shocking. It's like surprise, okay? Anytime it's like some announcement, some things will happen. Now, natural phenomena, disasters, okay? The changes of the weather and all that, okay? All these are shocking. So this year, we will see even heightened of that particular sides of things, okay, where you see risks and also shocking news, shocking dangers, okay, something that we have probably not experienced before, okay. So that is the overall meaning of the hexagram. And the hexagram here has a name to it, okay. And when we combine water and thunder together, out of the 64 hexagram, the name that we derive from it is called difficult beginning. It means that this is a year of a brand new start, of a new beginning, okay? And then with everything that starts, okay, again, all over again, when we go into a reboot, it will definitely goes into a difficult beginning position. So overall this year, summarize, okay, this is the pictorial form of this year's where you see plants, okay, like in a way seeds trying to in a way grow out from where we are. So if we are in the right environment, you will see there will be an abundance of growth. But let's say if this seed somehow does not fall into the right environment, it somehow falls into some concrete cement, okay, or some rocky mountains, example, it will still grow, but it definitely needs more perseverance and more patience. We need to gather strength. Find the courage for this year itself in order for us to actually see growth for the year. So what are the key points here? Some more here is like, no, we have to have clarity and can overcome pressure. Means no doubt this year itself, we will feel pressurized. Majority of the people will feel pressure, but pressure is what makes diamond a diamond. It's how it changed carbons into diamonds. So once we have the clarity, we know exactly what pressure we are going through. We have the clarity, we will eventually seize that particular growth potential. Now, must possess the seed of growth. What does it mean? Clarity and the seed of growth. It means that whatever that we are doing, we need to know exactly from the core fundamental root what exactly we are investing in, what exactly we are planning for the company. Okay, like Benny has put it, failing to plan is planning to fail. All right, every moment that the seeds has been deployed into any grounds, okay, right, they have a growth plan. it has a strategy. It means that parts of it needs to reach out to the sky and parts of it needs to be planted deep down into the root of the earth as much as possible. And that is a plan. So we need to have that plan. We must possess that seed of growth, okay, and have the clarity, okay, of our strategy of the year. Now, here it says, this is the number 3 hexagram out of 64 hexagram. It means after heaven and earth, the beginning of all beings. It means that after 2020 and 2021, okay, after all these resetting things, after the new normal, this is the beginning of the new norm, where people needs to learn how to adapt to it, how to make changes to it. Companies needs to also, in a way, okay, flow with all this change. Now, people who suffers are the people who are reluctant to change, people who are reluctant to grow, and people who are reluctant to learn, okay? Because this year is all about growing. Now, this year is also what I see it personally is full of potential to develop, because this is a year of growth. There are so much potential out there, okay? Right? Action of creation. It means that how creative are we? Right? How can we think of new things? How can we actually come up with new understanding? Means any companies that are constantly, in a way, creating stuff, okay? They're constantly, in a way, moving and progressing forward by creating like new products, okay, new services, have a lot of new creations, and these are the companies that will fare well this year. Okay, now deeply rooted, careful strategies, avoid carelessness. If we enter into the market, okay, as if it's a gambling table, we are doomed. Okay, a lot of people do not even understand. I mean, those are the informations where, of course, you need to ask expertise. Okay, like Dr. Anthony, you have to ask Alan, and even Benny. These are the people who are expertise in all these things, and you need all this information. All right, because deeply rooted means you know exactly what's going on. You know exactly what's going on behind the scene of this particular stock. You need to know exactly what's going on behind the scene of this particular company itself, okay? Or else, okay, we will just, in a way, gambling our luck, all right? So now, slow progress, one step at a time. So if we are thinking about investments of long-term thing, okay, this is a year, okay, where you will see with proper studies and understanding the fundamentals, okay, of the value of the stocks, this year is the best year for us to look into, as I mentioned, the cyclical stocks, okay, long-term investments, all right? Right way, right intention, both of them. Now, right way, right intention means we have the right purpose of it. It means that whatever that we are doing, be it our career, our job, our business, or our investments, if we do it out of fear, if we do it out of greed, if we are doing it out of fear of missing out, just because other people are into it, we just follow. Okay, if that's the case, we'll be doomed as well, because this year it's all about we have the right intention deep down into the core or the root, okay, of this particular seed of action. Okay, hard work, persistency, and being upright. Okay, that's something that we have to focus on, and most importantly, proper groundwork. Okay, proper groundwork as in like learning, education. That's how we master a certain things. Okay, that's like how M Invest has actually in a way started this M Equities. Okay, right, all this like very good, okay, price of 188. Okay, 188 for all the research, for all the informations, okay, that all these experts have in a way narrowed down for us to benefit from it. That is the groundwork. Either we do it from scratch on our own, or we attend or listen or get the advice from people who are expert into it. And that is the part of mastering 2022. Okay, so if you understand this, now take a look into 2022 personal focus, because we talk about the environment, the heavens down, what's going to happen, how is it going to affect majority of the people out there. Okay, people will be in a way affected by anger, suppressed anger. There are more in a way internet, so these warriors, okay, they will start to actually in a way like bombarding, okay, right, all this like social medias and all that. Okay, we also know there are more fear, people have more fear, people feel emotionally depressed, example. But how is it going to impact us personally? Okay, because everyone is different. We cannot say that if people is like that, we are also like that. So when we look into personal focus, then we need to plot our own barter chart. So I hope most of you here will have your own barter chart. Okay, so now the first thing is, if you have your chart with you, okay, we have to look into the 5 main mistakes to avoid in 2022 based on your chart. So when you go into my particular website, okay, and plot out this complimentary, any website will do, okay, as long as you get your barter chart out, okay. And when you get a barter chart out, you have a year pillar, a month pillar, a day pillar, and also an hour pillar. All right, so from the day pillar here, okay, this is our focus point for this particular 5 main mistakes to avoid, okay? So all of you, you just have to, in a way, focus on the day that you were born and understand the element into it. Example here, this is earth element, right? Example for me, I'm water element. So what are your element? Okay, so you have to, in a way, first plot out the chart to look into your element. And what are the 5 main mistakes here, okay, based on your element? Example, if you're metal element, the mistakes to overcome this year is overestimating our abilities, okay? So when we overestimate our abilities, that will be the major mistakes to avoid. Now, sometimes people think highly of themselves. People always think that we are all ready for everything without really understanding. People think that, oh, we are so good into investments without even really learning from the experts. Example, now, metal element people, remember, do a reflections, okay, and check on ourselves, are we overestimating our abilities? Now, the next one, water, okay, water people, okay, if you're like me. So the biggest mistake to avoid this year is thinking everything lasts forever, okay? This will highly affect us when it comes to, it can be in investments, okay? It can be personal endeavor and all that. People procrastinate, people just wait and see. You always have that wait and see attitude, whereas this year you see that it's always about growth and expansion. It's not really about wait and see, all right? So water people, remember, okay, seize the moment, seize the opportunity, okay? If you always think that, oh, wait first, see probably it will go higher, okay? Or wait first and see probably it will go even higher than this. Now, that will be one of the major mistakes for water element people. It might not impact on other people. It's just that when you water people, this particular lessons, okay, impact us more. Now, wood element. So if your day master is wood, okay, means unable to grow and diversify. Now, wood, remember, we are a big tree. Okay, wood is like a big plant or a big tree. And the best abundant tree is when you have a lot of branches, okay? So remember, for wood element, if you put all eggs into one basket, that will be one of the main mistakes for 2022. You have to learn how to grow, not only grow, but have more branches, diversify out, okay? See into like what are other things, what incomes, okay? What are the side incomes? What are the side hustles, okay? That you can, in a way, develop, learn and grow from it. Right now, fire element, okay, is taken over by greed. Okay, so if your day master is fire, remember, one of the things that we have to remind ourselves this year in 2022 is, okay, are we overwhelmed by greed? Okay, because that is also one of the major issues of overall emotions of the year. So for fire people, okay, the moment we are in a way overwhelmed by greed, the chances of us making mistakes, making or taking certain actions that we will regret it later on will be higher as well. And then, of course, the last element here is earth. Now, earth people, if your day master is earth, okay, whether yin or yang earth doesn't matter. Once your day master is earth, remember, one of the main mistakes to avoid this year in 2022 will be seeking validations. Because if you constantly need validations, you always need reaffirmations before you even do anything or invest on anything or start anything. You have to ask first whether if that's the right person for you or this is the right action for you to take before you do or take any actions. That will be the major weakness. So for earth people, we have to start taking responsibilities into our life. There's no constant right, okay? There's no such thing as right and wrong. We learn from it. Even the best investors, they have made mistakes in their life, okay? But the thing is, we take the courage and the responsibility to earn up to it so that we make the mistakes, we learn from it, and we grow from it, okay? So that is the lessons of earth people. So when we understand this, okay, and of course, then the next thing is we want to go even further detail, okay, into it. So now we talk about what to avoid, but what are the strategies for the year? If you are in your career, okay, if you are, like employed, or if you are the employer yourself, you are a business owner, what will be the career and business focus for 2022? Okay, so now here again you have to refer to your chart. Okay, so if you refer to your chart, the month stamp over here represents our career pillar. Okay, so you look at the month here on the top here, you look at what element that is governing you. Okay, it can be water, it can be wood, it can be earth, it can be fire, okay, it can be metal. So what is yours personally? So when you look at that, okay, then the reference will be here. Now, example for mine, I'm metal. So for yourself, it will be different. Now, this is what I see is like I put into a summary, okay? What is your strategic plan for the year in order for us to grow in terms of our career and also in terms of our business? Let's start with water. So those of you, if you have a water on the stem of your month, okay, now external, internal means, okay, either, okay, whatever that's external out of your company or internal. Internal means it's like internal companies like your HR department, your staff, okay, right? For individuals who are employees, internal means yourself, how to work within yourself, right? So water people, okay, on the month stem, externally focused this year, your strategic planning will be connections. How to build connections, how to bring in that new leads, okay? How to penetrate into a new market, example, okay? Right, through connections or recommendations, okay? So that is your key focus, collaboration. All right, so if you have water in your month stem, this year itself, one of the strategies, okay, now that we summarize is work on collaborations. What are people that you can leverage on? Okay, right? Look into your competitors. Okay, understand them. In Chinese, we always say 知己知彼，百戰百勝. Understand your competitors, understands yourself. Okay, 100 battles, 100 victories. You need to know, okay, the competitions that you have in the market. Okay, so that is one of your strategy, being aggressive but practical at the same time. This is water people. Now, internally, it means that, okay, it will be a good time for you to actually search or scout for new talents, okay, new staff, okay. That's why you go into transitions of changes where you, in a way, opens up yourself for new ideas, okay, new people to work together with. Now, renovations or reconstruct. How can you reconstruct or renovate certain strategies, okay? Internally, it can be a sales strategy, it can be a marketing strategy, plan it internally, okay? Ability to obsolete an idea or product. Now, a lot of time, people suffer is because we cannot let go of certain ideas or even certain products or even certain investments, all right? Because somehow we have grown too attached to it. That will be a weakness, especially if we have water in your month pillar, okay? This is something that you need to, in a way, prepare yourself from, okay? Means obsolete an idea or product or let go of certain investments. If you see that, okay, right, it is a time for you to change, probably even your portfolios, all right? Now, the next one is the fire element. Now, fire externally, okay, it's all about execution. So if you are in, okay, a business that, say this year, your plan will be focusing into launch, media, get more approach, okay, how to, in a way, okay, stands out in the market, take new actions. It can be a new change of job, okay, if you're an employee, this year can be a year where you can consider taking action into searching for a new job. Understanding your value in the market, okay? Because if we don't try ourselves into looking for a new options or a new offer, we might not know our value, okay? We somehow will be stuck in a position that we believe that whatever we get is probably our value. It might not be that, okay? Now, this year, focus on branding, marketing, okay, customer relations, self-responsiveness and all that. That is something that we can focus on if you're fire. Now, ability to close the gaps, it means that we have to understand what customers want and what competitors have and what we can provide in between, okay? So for fire people, these are the things that you might want to look into. Internally, invest in training, education. That is the most, in a way, strongest component or element of the year, wood element. So for fire people especially, invest in training, education, learning, okay? Ability to innovate and self-improve, okay? Financial readiness, your assets, your cash flow, which is very important, all right? Your equipment and facility. Remember, fire, do not overtaken by greed. Sometimes we over-invest, we overdo certain things, okay? When we are not even ready for it, all right? So remember, fire, again, financial readiness is very important. And then conceptualizing new ideas and product, okay? When was the last time you do this, right? If you're an employee, conceptualizing new ideas or product is your skill, your talent, okay? When was the last time, okay, you learned something new? When was the last time you have something new to offer into your career or your job, okay? What are the new things that you can offer to your employers? Example, these are the things that we might want to look into. Now, earth element here, okay, will be anything to do with like wealth focus strategy, okay? So earth element people focus on wealth, cost effectiveness. Okay, if you need to go back down to basic, go back down to basic. If you need to, in a way, cut out some expenses, cut out some expenses, because it's all about cost effectiveness, being practical. Whatever things which is no longer practical, okay, in whatever that you're doing now, it can be like, you know, having some like, you know, like personal relatives in a company, but somehow you know that they are not performing well. Okay, being practical means that you have to cut costs. Means no matter whatever relationships you have, all these people with you, it is time for you to cut it. Now, emphasize on sales, buying talents. Okay, how can you scout talents, okay, from competitors? Example, this will be one of your strategy. Taking new challenges, acquiring assets. Okay, and of course internally, okay, for Earth people, operations persistency, quality, productivity, and efficiency. Okay, it means if you're an employee, you have to also ask, okay, ourselves, okay, how in a way productive we are, how efficient we are. Now, a lot of people somehow they feel that, okay, it's not fair. Okay, how am I getting retrenched? Why am I not getting like a pay rise or whatever? We have to, in a way, wake up and smell the coffee and look into ourselves first. Okay, how efficient we are. Okay, how productive we are. Because a lot of times we only have expectations that doesn't live up to our deliveries. If that's the case, okay, even as employees, okay, we have to work out on this weakness. Okay, now having the right talent or skill is important for Earth people. All right, and then personal story or your brand. Now, personal story here, of course, if you come into like, business is a branding, but as an individual is our mental and mindset. A lot of time people are telling ourselves constantly day to day without being aware of it. Okay, in a way, like, self-suppressing stories. Okay, we always in a way feels that we are not good enough, we are not clever enough, we are not ready, we can't do it, everyone else is better except us. Now, if that's the case, that is a personal story that we are constantly telling ourselves. Earth people, that is the biggest no-no for 2022. Now, for metal people, if you're like me, so this year, okay, the business growth will be emphasizing on creativity, right? What are the new things, okay, to create or to renew, okay? As for me, it's like the courses, the approach of things, okay? How can we renew it? The change, how to be different, how to make that changes, how to be unique in the market, okay? How to be outstanding, what makes you different from the rest of the people who are doing the same thing as you, okay? So that is something that for metal people, we have to look into. Now, internally, learn about management, okay? Management is very important, especially this year. Lacking of management, lacking of control, lacking of discipline. Remember, especially metal people will be greatly hit by it if we do not, in a way, learn management, okay? How to manage our time, how to manage our, in a way, like financially, all these are management. Let go if needed to, back to basic needs, okay? Delegate, do what we do best and delegate the rest. How many of us can do that, okay? Companies as well, if you're running a company, can you outsource, okay? How can you delegate out to other people to minimize expenses, okay? At the same time, get things done most efficiently, okay? And of course, this is also a year where you can consider taking over, mergers, acquisitions, okay? So you might be able to, like, in a way, okay, if you want to study this, you can print out the CEO, okay, of a certain company or organizations. You print out the chart and then you see, okay, firstly, what is the luck in the chart? Okay, look into the 12 animal sign. What is the luck this year? Look into the face, if you know face reading. How is the luck going through? Okay, is the face itself telling you that this person is going through, in a way, good luck, okay? Or this person now somehow from the face itself is gloomy and other things, you know that a lot of things are going into, in a way, challenging the person. Now that also helps us in terms of studying, okay, and doing our research when it comes to a particular stock. Always look into the CEOs, okay? And of course, the last one, okay? The last one, wood element, critical thinking and information, product knowledge, market research, okay? Right, whether the market is growing or shrinking, okay? As a personal point, okay, we need to understand this. What is the demand? Intellectual advancements is important as well, okay? And of course, internally, okay, focus on people, personnel, staff, leadership development, leveraging on others, and also outsourcing. I'm rushing this, okay? All right, and then the last part, okay, last part here, feng shui for 2022. We know that, okay, we know about heaven's luck. What is going to impact, okay, externally in the environment? Now we know the strategy. Personally, what are the do's and don'ts? What to plan, what to strategize? we also want to actually use feng shui. Means that how to maximize our environment energy, okay, be it in our office or at home, so that now we can also harness into this like growing energy, okay, that is in a way governing the year by aligning the feng shui or the chi flow of our house and doing certain activations to ensure that this particular area itself is well taken care of. Okay, so now when it comes to feng shui, in short, every year we have certain afflictive stars or inauspicious stars, okay, and there are certain areas in a way governed by auspicious stars. Okay, now again, remember, feng shui is not being paranoid. We do what we can best. Okay, so overall we know that these are the areas, snap a photo if you need to. All right, these are the areas which are governed by afflictive stars. Okay, means these stars are inauspicious. The best thing we can do, okay, is to avoid major groundbreaking. It means that just try to avoid, if possible, by all means, okay, making major renovations at the north sector, southwest 3 or northeast 3 sector. Allow these areas to be as calm as possible. Okay, do not invigorate it, do not aggravate it, don't trigger it. Okay, just no major renovations going on and all that. Everything will be fine. Even though if you're sleeping in this sector, remember, there's nothing to be fearful of. Okay, so it's like no, people have to, oh, should I change? Okay, since my room is here. No, you do not have to change. Just be aware of it. Okay, as long as we are not triggering it, all is good. Now focus on the good sector. These are all the auspicious sector. Oh no, this is how you put it in your home. Okay, sorry. All right, so all you need is stand at the center of your home. Okay, take out your compass. All phones have a good compass now. Stand at the center of your house, okay? Take out a compass and take the directions, okay? Right, what are all these directions? The north, okay? From 0 degree, all these directions. If you want to have detail on all these locations and directions, okay, email us, okay? And my team will actually email you the full detail of the 12 Zodiac outlook and the key focus and also the feng shui sectors of afflictive stars and also auspicious stars, all right? So just make sure that these areas itself do not have major renovation. All right, now the next one is, where are the auspicious stars? What are the good stars? Where is it residing? Now, all these are all the good areas. At least what we can do is, if we have any doors or window at the good areas, open it up to allow the chi to flow. Okay, if not, at least we allow all this area, especially the south area, not to be cluttered. Make sure that, it is like tidy, okay, it is spacious, okay, that everything is flowing. Feng Shui is actually very practical, okay? Imagine if the whole house or the whole entire area is cluttered. You cannot even walk yourself. How on earth are the chi is going to flow? It will become stagnate, okay? Once it is stagnations happening, okay, we cannot benefit from it. So we have to ensure, best thing is all this area, especially the south, because in 2022, the south sector is where the wealth chi is. Now, I'm not saying that every day we go and sit at the south and make sure that it's uncluttered and we can sit there and money will pour in. It won't happen that way. Remember, 3 components needs to work hand in hand, okay? Heaven, earth, and man. We have to have the right knowledge, the right mindset, the right strategies by taking the right action. And then we activate the feng shui, and that's how we will see progress and growth in our life. Okay, so these are the auspicious sectors that we want to look into. And there are also activations that we can do based on date selections. There are certain dates in February, which is very, very good. So, but no harms doing it, okay? By all means, if those of you who want to try it later, I'm going to share with you, okay? So feng shui doesn't need to be expensive, okay? You don't need to buy the most expensive crystal or the most expensive, figurines to put at home. It doesn't work like that. It's all about harnessing the flow, okay, in our natural environment. So what you need to do is stand at the middle of your home, okay? Take out your compass and measure where is your south sector, okay? So identify this is a south sector. Make sure if you have a door, if you have sliding doors, if you have windows, okay, or if your positioning of your desk or your office is here, that's the best location, okay, because that is where the wealth chi is going to reside, okay, in 2022. Now, the rest of all these sectors are also good, all right? So you can also use it as well. Now, the next thing is activations. Now, these are the dates I'm sharing with you are very auspicious dates. In fact, 2022, why is it so different comparatively to any other years? Because only in these years when it comes to Chinese astrology, we have one particular date that it will not come by again until 180 years later. And that date, okay, later I'm going to show you, okay, if you are an avid astrologer, you will have heard about it. You have done your calculations. And this date is very, very good, okay? So what we need to do is, on those dates itself, we try to do the activations. I'm sure maybe some of you are not into feng shui yet, but try it, no harms, okay? Because it is not expensive. What you need is just a pill, okay? A big pill, water, and also a pump. That's all you need, because all actual feng shui activations, okay, it doesn't really need to have a lot of like fancy figurines that turn your house or office into a Chinese museum. It doesn't work like that. But all you need is water is very important. That's why you will see, okay, a lot of big organizations, okay, that does feng shui, shopping malls that does feng shui, it's very obvious that you see a lot of them uses, okay, fountains. As you can see that my office used to be in Mid Valley. Now I'm virtually, I don't even need an office, okay? You see, even Mid Valley and all that is definitely has been feng shui. That's why you see when a place has been feng shui, you will see water element, fountains, okay? Right, in a way will be erected at those places. So what we need is only the water. So on the 1st of February, this is the first day of Chinese New Year, okay? 7:30 a.m. So if you're into it, 7:30 a.m., set up a water activation at your south to 180 degree, okay? Circulation clockwise. Now, what does it mean by circulation clockwise? It means, first of all, you stand at the middle of your home or office, take the direction where is your 180 degree. At your 180 degree here, means this sector over here, prepare a pail, okay? Put in the water, and by 7:30 a.m., okay, switch on, okay, the pump, that it will look something like this. Now, circulation clockwise means you have to, in a way, adjust the pump that it pushes out the water that goes into a clockwise circulation method. Okay, so this is what we call a circulation method when it comes to feng shui activation. So for the 1st of February, this is what you can do. All right. And then now, 1st of February, for those of you, okay, who are Chinese, you know that Chinese normally, right, by midnight, once we enter into the first day, some people do prayers at home, okay, some people do meditation at home. So if you're one of those, okay, you can also choose 12:19 a.m. Okay, means that once we pass midnight of Chinese New Year Eve, enter into the first day of Chinese New Year, 12:19 a.m. Okay, either you can do a walking meditation, do fireworks. Okay, a lot of people like no way, like no, they will not light fireworks. Okay, or you can do prayers. Okay, to receive what we call the nobleman star, God of Wealth star, and also in a way opening the auspicious door. So if you are into it, if you have practiced this before, you can then now do it by walking from southeast towards the south and turn to your south to do this, okay? Or you can also walk from southwest towards the south sector and turn to your south from do this, okay, by doing it. Now, this is not superstitious, okay? If you're open to it, you can do it. If not, forget about it, okay? But people who have been doing this is about calming ourselves, okay, right? In a way, calming our energy, grounding ourselves, and so that we can manifest, okay? Because the clearer our mind is, okay, the clearer our energy is, the chances is higher for our manifestations into the year, okay? So if you're open to this, you can do this. If not, skip to the next date, which is the 4th of February. On the 4th of February, anytime between 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., okay? Set up a water activation at your north 1 sector, 345 degree, okay? You can take a snapshot over here, right? Or if you want to, you can ask my team to email all this information to you after this by emailing to contact@solartrinity.com, okay? So all you need to do is stand at the middle of your office or home, okay? And then take where is your, okay, 345 degree, which is this sector, put a pill there, but this is activation. Now, activation, not circulation. So your water pump needs to look like this. This is like creating that fountain impact. Okay, this is where I'm actually setting up. Okay, I took a video so that at least you can understand. Remember, when I say water activation, the water needs to be of a substantial amount and it needs to be aggressive. There's no point for you to put a small little cup of water there, okay, right? Because your toilet, when you flush the water, it's even stronger than it. There's no point doing that, okay? So remember, all these small rolling crystal balls, okay, with like very tiny little water inside is not going to work. You need a big pill like this. All right, and then the next one is, right, 18th of February. Now, I mentioned this is the special date. If you're into Chinese astrology, you know that this date do not come by until 180 years later. All right. So if you are open to it, this is what I call establishing the Grand Centurion portal. It means that this is a date to establish the future. So we want the upcoming years itself, okay, to be as prosperous as possible. Remember, it needs to pair up with the right mindset and also the right strategy. So if you want to harness this, 18th of February this year, okay, 3:19 a.m. I don't have any other timing. This is the best timing. Either you do it at that timing or you just forget about it and continue with your sleep. All right. So water activation at South 2, that is where your wealth chi is. 180 degree. Okay, so this is a very, very special date. Okay, the next time you see this date comes by, none of us will be around. That is 180 years later. All right, so what you need to do is you stick up your compass again, measure 180 degree at this particular area here. Now put up a active or aggressive water activation, this type, the fountain type. As aggressive it is, okay, as can be, the better it will be. Okay, so the pump, it cannot be sinking into the bottom of the pail, because or else you won't have this effect. You have to raise up the pump. Either you put a stool inside or put something to elevate the pump so that it can actually sprout and shoot out the water as aggressive as it can be. Okay, so this is a thing that you set up on the 18th of February, 3:19 a.m. All right, and then of course, okay, right, this is activation for future wealth and success. Some of you who knows feng shui, we know that we are in a transitional period of period 9 coming up. Okay, so this is boosting it so that we can harness to those energy swifter and easier. 22nd February, okay, 11:19 a.m. water activation, optional wind, and also creating space. It means that at least you put the pump, the same pump, at 180 degrees south 2. All right, right here, okay, is where you put your water. Optional means, okay, you can put a fan at your northeast 360 degree and open up, okay, windows, okay, or make sure that it's spacious over here, okay, at your northwest 1. Okay, so this degree or locations, okay, if you want to, you can email our team to send it to you. All right, so make sure that the pump is also aggressive water like this. All right, so remember at the end of the day, okay, this year, yes, it is a year of danger, it's a year of fear. A lot of people will be succumb to it, but I always, in a way, emphasize, especially in Chinese, okay, when there is fear, there is opportunity. It's just that whether or not we'll be able to find the hidden gems, or in this case, the hidden dragons. All right, so thank you so much for your time. Okay, seize the opportunity, stay connected with me if you want to. Okay, I have a public figure page here on jessely.hope. If you want to know more about Chinese astrology, this is an email if you want a detailed outlook into your 12 animal sign and the key focus, and also all the directions of the key feng shui activations with the dates. Okay, you can email contact@soleiltrinity.com with the title that I just put, AmFocus. All right, so thank you so much. Okay, I'll pass the session back to Benny. Thank you. Happy Chinese New Year and 恭喜发财 in advance.
There are a few questions for you.
Oh, let me.
It looks like we're all going to be busy moving water around.
I mean, it's like, you know, if you feel like doing it, okay, just by all means, like try it. That's how feng shui works, okay, right? That's why you see even from ancient times, historical, like monuments up to now in modern times, you see casinos, malls, big organizations and all that, okay? You will see that we do with water features, aquarium, fountains, and water features, okay? It is not something to be superstitious or paranoid about, but if you want to try it, it is cheap, it's not expensive, by all means, why not? All right, so there are a few questions. Let's see, Adeline here. What if the house do not have a south sector? Now, if the whole entire house totally missing south sector, okay, right, then you will have to, in a way, okay, put it either at the southeast sector, okay, or if not, put it at the northeast sector, okay, northeast sector this year, okay, right? If that is like really have no choice, you do whatever it takes, okay? But normally, if you have a house that's totally entirely missing of south sector, that's not recommended, because we are moving moving into period 9 where the south sector is very important. Okay, so somehow if you can even out the missing corner, okay, that would be great. All right, if really can't, probably it is time for you to actually consider, okay, like moving into a new house. All right, so Stephen, how about to improve our health? Okay, which sectors of the house? Okay, now the thing is, if you want to improve on health, the first thing is avoid the southwest. Okay, especially if you have elderly at home, okay, which is already like, you know, having some health issues and all that. The southwest sector is where the illness star is going to be. Okay, don't worry about it. If you don't aggravate or activate it, it means that you don't do major renovations into it. It won't harm you. All right, so don't have to worry about that, because this particular session I emphasize on the wealth sector. And I always say it's when you, yes, even people say when you have the health, you have the wealth. But in our times now, okay, it's important for us to have the wealth in order for us to have the health. Okay, because if we don't have the money, okay, right, there is a lot of unnecessary stress, okay, or issues that we will be facing, especially during these few years. All right, so if you want to know more about all these things, follow my page, okay? There are, because all these informations, I need one whole day to talk about it. Like tomorrow, I have my feng shui and astrology talk where I'll talk from 10 to 5. Here, I only have 1 hour. All right, so yeah. So any more?
Thank you so much, Jessie. You know what? If you guys are interested to have another session for with Master Jessie Lee, in fact, they have actually provided only 30 seats, all right, for an additional session with Master Jessie Lee and the team. So we'll put a link there in a short while. I think right now we'll be putting the link for you to register for that. Only 30 seats available. All right, so please do so. It's going to be first come, first serve basis. They'll get in touch with you once you have filled up the form. All right. I know. Thank you so much, Jessie. I mean, there's a lot of information that you have passed through in the past 1 hour. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been quite enlightening as well. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best in this year and moving forward to you and your team. Thank you so much for having joining us. All right, so guys, we still have 2 more giveaways. I want to touch and go top up before we end this session. I hope you find it enlightening as well as knowledge. You know, you gain a lot of knowledge from this session itself. Now, the next question for the next touch and go top up. This is where you need to listen to Jessie earlier on. What was the image for 2020? Okay, earlier when she did a presentation. Wow, that was fast. Okay, so the image was thunder or lightning, right? So we have David Miao who answered correctly. Congratulations, David. We'll get in touch with you in a short while. Okay. Now, last giveaway. Okay, ang pao for this session. Are you guys ready? Okay, today I also learned a little bit more about feng shui, right? So I mean, feng shui can be a lot of things, or different meaning for different people. But for Jessie, who just mentioned earlier, so feng shui. This is the question. Feng shui is about balancing what? Okay, yeah, qi is the energy lah, right? So basically the answer is yin and yang. Okay, so let me see who got the answer correctly. All right, SD, congratulations. So it's basically balancing that yin and yang. And so we have all the winners. Congratulations to all the winners for this touch and go top up. We'll get in touch with you. And for all those who participated as well, thank you very much. And this comes to an end to our session for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. On behalf of AM Equities, we wish you all the best and may the Water Tiger year be with you. And most importantly, make sure you have a trading plan or trading strategy for investing this year and moving forward. All right, so with that, everyone, I hope you all stay safe, continue to stay safe. And for those who are celebrating Chinese New Year, 恭喜发财.